Hello everyone, this is Red Lantern Superman, and we are doing, for the first time ever, an Opus 12 Final Fantasy trading card game set review. We will be going through the entire set. Yes, we will reserve the right to skip. I am joined by Rob. Say hi, Rob.
Party people!
That wasn't high, but good enough, good enough. And by Squashed Peas.
Hello there.
See, that's how you do it.
I didn't say hi either.
Yeah, but I put in a bit of pizzazz into it.
Oh, we'll leave you for all the pizzazz. I'll take the derp, thank you very much. That's where I'm most comfortable.
If it works, it works.
Alright, we'll be moving to the main screen. As you see, we have our first card. We will be going in color order, so we'll be starting with Fire. We have a 5-cost Fire Aegis. Warrior of Light 9k. Job Warrior of Light forwards you control can form a party with Job Warrior Light forwards of any element. When Aegis enters the field, you may play one Job Warrior of Light of cost 4 or less from your hand onto the field. So far, so good.
Card.
Yeah.
As far as like the Warrior of Light archetype goes, there's another card that we'll talk about later on that I believe is basically the linchpin of the deck. But Igus is very much one of the cards to watch out for in that deck, just because it suddenly goes, "Hi, here's two bodies."
It does feel sort of like a less powerful but Warrior of Light version of Ace sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say it being a 9k is a big deal. It allowing you to play your off-color stuff is also really big because there are a couple of off-color Warrior of Lights that you might want to splash in. So I feel like it's going to be all right at the very least.
I agree. It's definitely a solid card.
Also, I feel people... I don't know if this is just me, but I feel partying with off-colors is very underrated. Like, the game very much has been trying to synergize, and to the point where that's harder to do, but being able to do that might actually create a lot of...
this set has been very much focused on party attacking, so...
Yeah, I did notice that. Anyway, shall we go on to the next card?
Let's move on, I think.
Let's move on.
Oh, wrong way. Yeah, Macy, you would like the Warrior of Lights. Today, this set gave you, like, all the cards. Next up, Amaterasu. Fire card once again. 3-cost summon. Choose one auto ability, cancel its effects. If the cancelled auto ability triggered from a forward, deal that forward 8k. I love this card.
Pretty much the blowout of the set. If you can pull this off and take full advantage of the situation, it's pretty filthy.
Yeah, 8Ks with auto abilities beware, because if this trades favorably, you're done.
Any 8K that has an entering effect now has to be reviewed.
Yeah, that has to be
under severe scrutiny, because it's basically just going, is it worth playing this forward if Amaterasu is just going to just end its day?
Yeah, well, you'll have to think, like, you'll have to sit there looking at your opponent who's playing Fire going, does he have it or does she have it in hand or not? So, and having in a game that very rarely has counter effects, this is a very big change to the game.
Yeah, and they had to give it to the one element that didn't really deserve it.
I'm just glad Fire has some love now. Whether you agree it's too much or not enough is the big debate right now.
This is too late, right?
Yeah.
Regardless, this card is fantastic. If you want to try and run cards like Sephiroth or the new Thancred, if you ever want to run the new Thancred, we'll get to that card later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the other big difference I feel for this card is a lot of the counter effects have been on field. Like, your opponent can see them on the field. Your Stola or Lael, for example, they're backups and forwards on the field. Your opponent knows they're there. Where this one is literally a hidden one.
You would have to assume that any deck that plays a fire card from here on out will be running at least one, maybe two copies of Amaterasu.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, the downside is, though, unless the forward does have an auto ability, it can't actually hit them. There is a bit of there is a good downside to it, I think.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't hit your value card.
Yeah, which is why I think, active or continuous effects or just big forwards again are going to be the go-to.
Yeah.
9k is going to be the benchmark going forwards.
Yeah. Alright, we'll go to the next card. LSA, we're starting with one of the two halves. 3 cost fire, 7k. When LSA enters the field, select one of the two following actions. The first action is play one card Alphanaut from your hand onto the field. The second one is search for one card named Alphanaut and add it to your hand.
So these two as a pair, if you manage to get the pair perfectly, it's a pair of 1-cost 7k forwards that search for anything out of your deck. We may as well start talking about the Alphanaut now as well because they're a pair. Alisei plays the Alphanaut searches for something else. So both of them together are a pair of they're a pair of 1-cost 7k forwards.
And you also can search for the other ones. You don't have to search for the one in the set. You could search for the backup one if you want to use it as a backup setup for lightning fire. There's, bit versatility. I think Alphanaut is the next one. Yeah, Alphanaut is the next one. 3 cost fire, 7k. When Alphanaut enters the field due to your summons or abilities, you may search for one character and add it to your hand. So if she is already in your hand when you play Alphanaut, you will get the search trigger off playing her for free. Her or him, I have no idea.
I think Alice is the female and Alphanaut is the male.
When you play him, using her free abilities, you'll get another search.
One other thing to note about Alphanaut is it's a lot more generic. You don't have to use Alice. You can use like Phoenix or one of the other cards in this set. So I think that makes Alphanaut a tiny bit more valuable, but I guess they're both meant to be run together anyway, so why not run both?
Did somebody say Opus 2 geese? No, I'm just kidding. Don't run that
I
card.
was also thinking the Shulk, the Ice Shulk. Is it 3 or less of any other color? I can't remember.
Shulk is 2 or less.
2 or less.
Yeah.
Damn.
You're thinking of Zagabath.
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Zagabath.
But the thing is, we're still thinking of Opus 2 cards that play forwards for nothing.
Yeah, that's probably where I'm getting mixed up. Shall we go to the next one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ifrit. We've got our summon. 5 cost fire, EX burst. Choose one forward, deal at 9k. This one, I'm a bit hesitant on.
As a card, it's an on curve, quote unquote on curve removal piece. 5 CP, EX burst, 9,000 damage. The thing that puts it over the line is the fact that it's named Ifrit.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes this powerful, because then you could put it together with all of the other good Ifrits and Ifrita as well.
Also, it is EX burst. I think that's the most powerful thing. It's an EX burst.
Yeah.
Those are the key talking points about the card. EX burst, 9k damage.
It has the right name.
And has the right name. It generally gets rid of most things.
Yeah.
The text is simple. It does its job. Not much else to talk about.
I think it being a 5 cost is what hurts it the most, but it's bloody strong and limited, I'll tell you what.
Oh, yeah. We had a few of them pop up and hurt us.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, yeah, simple and powerful.
Yep.
Agreed.
It does what it does, and what it does well.
Oh, me and Ryan's favourite joke card, Ogre, 4 cost fire. It is a monster. So Ogre is part of the monster cycles, which either enter as forwards or enter and automatically do an effect. In Ogre's case, it enters as an 8k forward. It is noted on the card, so I will point it out because I've had a few questions. When it comes in as a forward, it's not till end of turn. It becomes an 8k or whatever permanently. Its instantaneous ability is put it into the break zone. When you do so, choose one forward, deal at 8k. So this is a 4k... a 4 cost 8k versus our last 5 cost 9k. So I think it's still good value. But I think there might be better options in the game, but it's up to you if the forward versatility is helpful.
It's a summon that doesn't read as a summon.
Yes, the fact that you can't play this at instant speed really hurts it.
Yeah, basically, it's honestly not even worth talking about. The card exists. It's fine for limited.
Yeah.
Next card.
Move on. I love it to bits, but move on.
Yeah, that's how I feel. We got our backup Black Mage, 2-cost fire. It's a normal backup, but it has the ability, you may tap it and 1 fire, put Black Mage into the break zone, choose 1 forward, deal it 5k. Situational, depending on your deck.
We've
Power
had
Crab from Opus 1.
Yeah, we had this card in Opus 1, but it dealt 4k instead.
Yeah, so
that's the sizable difference between Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 14. It's that 1k damage.
Yep.
It's got nothing to do with power creep.
Yeah, wait 20, 30 years to deal 1,000 more damage. Like,
value.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got next?
What's next?
Yeah, next. That's what I was going to say. Princess Goblin. One of the WoF waifus. 2-cost fire backup. When Princess Goblin enters the field, you may search for 1 light forward, add it to your hand. When a light forward enters the field, put Princess Goblin into your break zone. So you have to treat this as a 2-cost tutor. At best, you get a couple of uses of resource out of it. But in my head, I just see this as a tutor.
Quite like this card, actually.
Mm.
The thing that I quite like about it is, if you think about the Warrior of Light deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Its main elements are going to be fire and water. Princess Goblin happens to have the job Goblin, and there's a tutor, EX-Burst tutor for goblins in water. So you've immediately got yourself a 2 backup setup right there.
Yeah.
It's not an amazing 2 backup setup, but it's certainly something.
It is better than nothing, yes.
And if it searches you out, Refia and Warrior of Light, then you don't care about Princess Goblin popping. You've still got value.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, I hate this because now we have a searcher for Citra, and that's, I think, the most dangerous part of this card. But it's mainly going to be used in Warrior of Light, just because grabs your Refia, grabs your Light Wall, your Opus 2 Warrior of Light, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This being able to search them is a big deal.
Yeah, and that's why I said I really think this is just purely a searcher in my head.
Yeah. But also Citra in case we use a fire-based Citra deck, Yeah.
And on the same token as well, it's great to have a backup that breaks itself.
Yeah, certainly.
I just feel sad that it doesn't work in the WoF deck. It's a WoF card that doesn't care about WoF. We got our Samurai now. 2-cost backup. Fire once again. Its ability is you may tap it and pay 3 fire, put Samurai into the break zone, choose 1 forward, deal it 8k. You can only use this ability if you control 3 or more Samurais or card name Samurai. Now, I've not had much experience with Samurai decks, so I actually don't know how restrictive that moratorium is.
In my view, it's not restrictive. I just feel like it could have done 9k and not have been broke.
On the same token as well, the most important thing about this card is its name.
Yeah, it is Samurai in name. That's why it's going to be played.
Exactly. It happens to. If you need to, in a pinch, you can eat a thing, but it's basically going to have a blank text box 95% of the time, I feel like.
Yeah, because giving Samurai another 2-drop backup is a good thing, because the only other one they had was the Opus 7 one and a Cyan, which isn't going to be used because one of the payoffs of Samurais is a Cyan. So, yeah.
Exactly.
So once again, a card that's purely beneficiary because of its name.
Exactly.
Yeah, more or less.
All right, we'll move on. We moved from Samurais to Warriors. Warrior, 3-cost forward, 7k. Still on fire. When Warrior enters the field, you may dull any number of active backups you control. When you do so, choose 1 forward, deal it 3k damage for each backup you dull due to this ability. I really like this.
I agree as well. This card, it doesn't scream at you like it doesn't scream this is the most valuable card you'll ever have. But if I'm paying an effective 6 CP for a forward and I'm dealing 9k to another one, that's some solid value.
Yes,
Yeah.
it comes down to how you play it and all that, which is obviously the factor of the game, but if done right, this could be very good value, and at worst, if it becomes a threat once it's on the field, it's still a 7k, which is decent.
Big thing about this card, it's a 3-drop.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into why that's big later, but I think the card's cool, because as stated, if it's 6 cost killing a forward, it's got a relevant job in standard unit. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't see play, but I also, wouldn't be surprised if it did.
This is one of those things of, if it matches my deck and it works, it'll go, and if it doesn't, it'll just not be looked at.
Yeah.
Exactly. I wouldn't sleep on it.
Keep it in mind.
Yeah.
We move to Soul. I really like this card in Limited. I don't know how Warrior of Lights will use it, but Soul was pretty fun. 1 cost fire, Warrior of Light forward, 2k power. If you control a Warrior of Light forward other than Soul, Soul gets haste. When Soul forms a party and attacks, you may search for 1 job Warrior of Light of 2 cost or more and add it to your hand. Another Warrior of Light tutor for a very cheap cost.
Seeing this card draw 3 cards in one game. This is filth.
Okay, it wasn't just me that's seen that. Okay, so it's a trend, not... okay, I'm happy about that.
The card is nutty. A lot of people will try and say, oh, but it dies to board wipes. Bro, you paid nothing for it. Who cares
you're literally paying -1 CP for this effect.
Yeah.
Like,
that is ridiculous.
You've spent nothing. The only card that could actually be a viable board wipe that will clear this effectively and still be up on CP against this is Valor from Opus 1.
Yeah.
That's the only card that could do anything about that.
Yeah.
Literally everything else, you're spending CP to take out your opponent's CP advantage, which is good, don't get me wrong, but when your opponent's paid -1 CP for a 2k forward.
Also, that plus 2k into a party can actually make a little bit of a difference. It can turn a OK forward into a legitimate trader. And if you get a card out of it and they block, they're most likely going to have to decide, do I want to kill the bigger one, or do I kill the tutor, which is only a 2k?
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's like Bobby Corwin, only done right.
Yeah.
So I think it's got a little bit more versatility than I've seen people give credit for. Again, they're going to have to decide, do I kill the 7k or do I kill the 2k partying with it?
The thing that's going to be very scary with this Soul is if somebody's had a Lena out in play for a turn. We'll get to Lena later on, but if somebody's had a Lena in play for just 1 turn, and then you see this big party attacking at you,
and
that's when the decision becomes very real.
And with Aegis, who lets them party with any color as well.
Yeah. And there's even more reason why the off-color thing is going to be relevant, but I digress.
Chelinka still does it well. Yeah.
Depends on, which Chelinka, but...
No, I'll pay that. Chelinka still does it well.
Yeah.
Still
DJ
a very
Belai
powerful
there.
party attacking forward.
Yeah.
We can't disagree with that. Chelinka is still very good at party attacking. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Chelinka was the first good party attacking forward.
Yeah. I mean, Opus 1 mime for about 15 minutes, but that's beside the point.
Chelinka's the
Wait, there's an Opus 1 mime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that changes its element. When it falls apart, you draw a card.
Yeah, I joke around. I know that card exists. It's just...
Yeah.
Man, we feel old.
It was literally a card for 30 seconds and then no longer a card.
We're coming up to, I think it's the first legendary for fire in the list. 6 cost Tenzin, another samurai, forward 9k. He has Brave. At the end of each turn, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 job samurai or card named samurai among them to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom of deck in any order. When Tenzin leaves the field, choose one job samurai or card named samurai of cost 3 or less in your break zone, add it to your hand. I do like that the look effect puts them on the bottom of your deck, not in bin, and that's actually something I think is really crucial to the wording on this card.
It's not just that's not the only crucial wording on this card as well. It specifically says when it leaves the field. So even if your opponent removes it the moment you play it, you're getting a card back. This is at absolute worst, a 4-drop 9k Brave. It's absolute second worst, which is, the likely scenario is that it's going to be a 2-drop 9k Brave. That's its likely worst scenario. If you're building the dedicated samurai deck, this is the linchpin.
Yeah, and in that deck, you're very rarely going to miss, I think, with this.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think the biggest thing about this is, how it returns a samurai cost 3 or less. Pretty much every relevant samurai bar maybe Hien is a 3 cost. So this is getting back basically every good card in your deck, and it's still a big body with Brave. So that's a really good card, I feel.
We've also got to remember as well that cards like Iroha happen to be samurai as well.
Yeah, so, Iroha, Ayame, the Gosetsu backup that searches Hien is also a samurai.
Yes, it is. So it's scary how much this card gets back.
Yeah,
it's insane.
And that's after they probably had to expend either, a bunch of forwards in a party attack or a removal or combined summons to kill it.
Yeah.
The best summon that removes this would probably be, I want to say Alexander, or maybe Diablos.
Probably Diablos.
Yeah, I was going to say Diablos is always the go-to summon right now in Wind. All right, what's next? We're going back to ninjas. Another 2-cost backup ninja. Standard unit type. When ninja enters the field, choose one forward. It gets, when this forward attacks, choose one forward, deal it 5k damage until end of turn. So let me break this down. When ninja enters, you select one of your forwards. For that turn and that turn only, if that forward you selected attacks, it gets to do 5k damage to something. So that's the more simplified rundown of how this card works. I think this is very situational. I don't know the synergy for ninja, so I don't know if it'll just be very helpful in ninja. I wish I had played ninjas prior this set, just for fun.
I don't think this card goes into the ninja deck, to be honest. Like, edge for that deck is the linchpin, and it's already dealing more than enough damage that this ninja's unnecessary.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, the most relevant thing about this card is its name, and it doesn't even do that well, because if you wanted to play a fire ninja backup, you've got the one from Opus 5 that stops things from blocking.
And that's the one you play.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, it doesn't need this card in that deck. Go to the next card. Oh, our boy Bahamut. A forward, finally. 3-cost fire forward. 7k. If you have 3 or more fire summons in your break zone, Bahamut gets plus 2k power. And if you have 7 or more Bahamuts, Bahamut also gets, when Bahamut attacks, deal 5k to all forwards your opponent's controls. It has 2 specials. One is just fire, deal 4k damage to all forwards opponent controls. That's Impulse. Then we have Mega Flare, which is dull Bahamut. No cost besides dulling him. Choose one forward, deal at 9k. I like this card. And it works good with the Ifrit combo.
I feel like a lot of people like this card. I'm not exactly one of them, but I feel like a lot of people like this card.
Yeah, I'm really iffy on it. Like, I'm sort of like on the fence, leaning towards it's kind of good, but that's the thing. Like, break zone interaction is still very much a thing because of Marsh Ritz, so I kind of think this guy suffers because of it.
Miss Dragon. That's all I've got to say.
Miss Dragon, White Mage, all that kind of stuff is really good. And Kadaj as well. But if there is one thing I will say about this, given the changes to cast, where, all things that you play are considered cast, this works with Moody and Fang. So you can cast it for 1 off of Fang and then untap your Moody when you do. So that could be some jank.
So potential.
One of our fire players, get on it. We want to see the deck list.
Yes,
Yeah, boy.
test it out for us. Let us know in the YouTube comments how you go. I'll finish.
Indeed.
I'll stop plugging now. I'll
Yeah,
save that to
indeed.
the end.
It's also Cat 10, so you can search it with brother.
Oh, actually, I do like that one. All right.
That's relevant.
Okay, he's the controversial boy. 3-cost fire forward, 9k Forza. You cannot cast Forza. When Forza enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls, deal it 7k damage.
To be honest, this is basically just Opus 2 Palom, but better.
Yeah. Like, irrespective of the fact that you can't cast it, it's still a 9k that dealt 7k to something. That is a lot of value.
You still...
And in saying that as well, there's a lot of ways to play this without casting it. In the same vein as the Alpha No we were talking about earlier, there's so many ways to just play this card without casting it. So even the whole you cannot cast Forza, that's not a big downside. That's the only place you don't want to see it half the time is your hand.
Yeah. And even then you can still discard it for CP. But yeah, you know, Phoenix,
to get
all that good stuff.
I still feel to get the consistency, you do have to play it as discard from hand, play it from bin.
I would probably see this being run as a singleton, just as another gotcha.
Yeah.
But you can combine it with Opus 5 Phoenix and just go, oh, look, I cast this, I 8k this, I 7k this, I now have a 9k body in play.
It's a big, big deal.
So maybe the old Fire and Ice Phoenix deck?
Maybe.
Fire and Ice is going in a completely different direction.
Yeah, that's what I'm
very
feeling
much
as well.
focused on It's very much focused on FF6 and tempo and combat tricks. It's not the deck for that. Like, Forza is not deck. Like, not the card the deck wants.
So that being said, there is a Fire Ice card that kind of goes in this thing's direct. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, but yeah, we'll save it for when we get to it.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. I like this card, but I also was the one who liked the old version. The starts with T. I can't remember its name. We have Blaze, 4-cost fire backup, EX burst. When Blaze enters the field, choose up to 2 forwards, deal them 5k. You may dull Blaze, put it into the break zone, choose 1 forward, deal it 7k.
Ninjas meet your nightmare.
Yep.
Yep, indeed. If Ninjas takes off, this thing takes off. I think this thing has the right combination of stuff. It's an EX burst, it has an on-field effect, which is relevant, and it has a good category.
Yeah, FFCC. Definitely.
Which means it's searchable by Nordstalin.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw this card in Limited, and I'm like, I really like this card, but I'm not sure, because I remember seeing the old 4-cost ETB, pay deal 9k, and that one didn't go nowhere.
Yeah, Teller didn't go anywhere. The Opus 5 Black Mage didn't go anywhere either. This is both of them. I mean, albeit with a worse second damage effect, but it's still probably fine.
I'll be honest, the secondary damage effect of Break It deals 7k, that's not the biggest problem.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with just even if I just throw it at something that don't kill it and then play another one.
Kills
finish off.
I don't particularly mind that. The big reason this card is going to see play is if ninjas see more play.
Yeah, or any sort of weenie deck, because you just play it to kill 2 of their things.
All right, yeah. Forza was a good target for Opus 10 Zande, but I digress.
Yeah, we just got that message from, oh god, I'm gonna have to get used to this. Licking Nipples for Justice. Thank you, Licking Nipples for Justice. Yeah, Forza's a good Emperor Zande target.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get used to reading the dumb names, aren't I?
Yeah.
Alright, next card.
All you.
Poor thing.
Yeah. But either way, Blaze is not bad.
Megisa, 4-cost fire forward, 8k. It has a 0-cost effect. Search for 1 fire forward of cost 3 and play it onto the field. You can only use this ability if Megisa has received 4k damage or more. Me and Ryan have been going back and forward about this card all week.
I really do not know how to feel about it. Like, on one hand, it's completely and totally broken, but on the other hand, it's going to do absolutely nothing.
Hey, look, guys, it's Bomb's best friend.
Yeah, buddy.
Just answer.
that's the thing I could say about the thing that I find. Obviously, this card is supposed to be paired with Forza. That's the whole reason for the text being worded the way that it is.
Yeah.
The part that makes it powerful from my perspective is that you don't have to do it during your turn.
Yes, that's what I was saying. You block with it, then use its ability.
Yeah.
But I still prefer having things like bomb in play, just to be like, I can trigger this whenever I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to answer a question in chat, we are going in order of cards. We are through fire right now, so we only just started, so you guys haven't missed much, and this will go up on YouTube if you missed anything.
Yeah.
But
I think the biggest downside of Megisa is the fact that it specifically says fire forward of cost 3.
Mm.
It can't be 3 or less, so you can't get any of the other things like maybe you want to get a soul for some reason or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't get the tech effects.
It specifically has to be a 3 cost, so basically load your deck up on Phoenix targets.
Yeah, but that being said, there are a good number of 3 costs. It's just dependent on, are there enough consistent ways to deal 4K to this thing that aren't named Yuri?
Yeah.
That's
There's more than enough. They're all called bomb, though.
Yeah, bomb tribal. Will it be a thing?
I will make this note now. We will say it again. Hybrid cards count as both their colors, so this can search a hybrid card.
Yeah.
But whether you would run a hybrid card just to search it off Megisa, even if it's off color for its tech, that'll be down for testing.
It's saying that there's only one multi-element card that this can get right now, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I think we all know what you're talking about. All right,
Yeah,
next card. Oh, the tongue girl. We got Lani. Everyone was screaming, I got Lani during our pre-release. So, 4-cost fire forward, 7k. When Lani enters the field, your opponent removes the top card of their deck from the game face down. You can look at it and or cast it as though you owned it at any time you could normally cast it. The cost for casting it is reduced by 2 and can be paid with any element.
Oh,
I'll let you guys talk about this one first before I give my opinions. I think my opinions may differ from yours.
Where do I begin? So first things first, relevant category, relevant job, because headhunters are a thing for some reason.
Headhunters in category 9.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing about this card is that, if you're against, say, YRP and you hit their Veil Force, just, oh, cool, you're playing with 2 Veil Force now. Have fun. And toward that end, and remember, you can play, if you hit a 2-drop off of this thing, you can play it for free because it doesn't reduce to 0. It can't become 0. You can
reduce it to 0.
Yeah, you can reduce it to 0. I can't English for some reason. And the fact that it goes face down
You're in the right stream.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you can do things it's cool, but I think the thing that hurts this is that it trades really poorly with Amaterasu.
Yeah. My point on it is, I think 2 times in pre-release, someone got a powerful removal off me, killed my dudes, and just went from, 1 forward up to also 1 forward up, and me being 1 forward down, and I've lost a removal from my library. But again, I think this is going to come down to testing and what decks we'll see. I like the ability, but I think 4-cost 7k is where it's going to be a risky decision. Because you still do have to pay for excess of the 2 for the card you get off the top. Can you take it from here, Rob?
Yes. Now, I've played against this card a few times now. How good Lani is entirely dependent on how powerful your opponent's deck is. Now, if I'm playing, say for example, I'm playing Rampare and I'm playing against a Lani, that's something you could potentially see. But the problem is you don't want to draw there's some cards that you don't want to take off of that deck. For example, you don't want to really take a Shintoto because I guess you could get something back, but at the same token, you've got to try and pay the 7 CP for it. It's also very important to note that due to the rules of multi-element cards, the cost of the multi-element card cannot be reduced below 2. So if you happen to pick up, say, one of the common, because all of the common multi-element cards are 2 costs, you still have to pay 2 CP for that card.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
something
big
I
deal.
very recently learnt as well.
Yeah.
So you still have to pay, because it's part of the rule restrictions for having a multi-element card. You have to pay with quote-unquote both elements. Yes, you could pay with any element for aligning, but you still have to pay both element costs. So it still has to be 2 CP paid.
To
Yeah.
be honest, I thought that restriction only applied to it being reduced to a cost of 1. I thought it got around it for 0 because there was an interview with one of the game designers. He says, well, we put a rule in that says we can't reduce it to 1. We'll just, if there's something that lets it reduce to 0, we'll just work with it.
See, I thought there was that sort of restriction as well, but I do remember recently reading, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I do remember reading somewhere that a multi-element card cannot be reduced below 2. So
If someone in chat can knows that or can find that out for us, that would be great to hear.
Yeah, that goes for everything we say, by the way. If we're wrong, please correct us.
Yes,
absolutely.
We are just humble players and a couple of judges. Nothing big.
I mean, yeah, sure. But yeah,
and say that, don't get me wrong, the effect of Lani is very powerful, and information in a game like this is always key. Like if you play the Lani early and you rip a card off the top of their deck and it's an important centerpiece of the deck, you know how to play your game from that point forward. You know, like for example, you're playing you rip an Earth card or something like that, and you're just like, okay, I might have to watch out for Shitoto. I might need to sort of back off on playing a Horde of Forwards. Or if you rip, say, an Edge off the top of their deck, and you're just like, okay, I'm playing against ninjas. I better, prepare for that eventuality.
Except now they have one less Edge to work with. So that's a big deal.
Which is very helpful. That's I think is the most powerful part of Lani is the information part. Not necessarily that you could play your opponent's card because you may not want to, but if you have just that one slither of information, you can find out the rest of your opponent's game plan, and that's the key.
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to, and I'm probably being redundant here, but the coin flip card is a coin flip card.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, we've got the ruling. If the cost for a multi-element card is reduced to 1, so it can go to 0.
Right.
Okay. Does that change your mind, Rob?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Just thought I'd give you a...
yeah.
You looked that up for us, Rob.
I still have to pay 2 CP for my stolen installers. I don't like it.
Wait, that's actually the other big thing. It doesn't color fix for you.
Yeah. Though I will give it credit, it doesn't say till end of turn, so you can save that card for later in the game as well. You don't have to play it then and there.
This is true as well.
That is something I do want to address that. I think that is a very important factor. So if it is that turn 1, as you said, Rob, if it's a removal card and you know what removal they have and you can plan from then on end, but you don't have to use it then and there, so it will stay as your card till you need it to be.
But that's perfectly fine. I'm still not completely sold on the card. I've seen it in action. I've played against it several times. I haven't played with it yet, but the big thing about the card that I think is the most powerful piece is just the information bit. Just being able to see what your opponent's doing. And that's the whole reason why cards like Zidane are powerful as well. Just having that slither of information.
Yeah, and DJ did say it would also be sweet early game to get a 2-cost backup early.
Yeah. That's probably the most optimum play. You play the Lani, you rip the top card off of their deck, it's a 2-drop backup, you play it for nothing, then you've basically got a 0 CP 7k.
Yeah. And thanks for giving us the multi-element ruling there, Licking Nipples. We'll go on to the next card. We're starting on the first ice card, so we have officially moved into ice. Do it in the name of justice. Yes, you do.
Good.
Oh, this is the name. Amidatileon. 2-cost ice backup. FFCC. It has an ability. 1 generic, 2 ice, dull it. Remove the top card of your deck from the game. If the card costs 4 or less, you may cast it without paying its cost.
that turn.
Yeah, that turn, yes.
This is another one that I really like. I'm really very iffy on, purely because I'm not sure if there's been a ruling out as to whether or not you could use this during your opponent's turn and cast the character.
I would have to find that out as well. I'm pretty sure it does ignore timing restrictions. But I think the biggest thing about this card is that it's an Ice FFCC backup, so you don't have to run through Chaspel anymore. So
Yeah.
I like it.
There is another FFCC backup we'll get
Yes.
to later, which
Which
is actually amazing.
Yeah, it's really kind of good.
You
But
wouldn't
as
be.
far as
We have a ruling from DJ Belia. You wouldn't be able to. You'd have to cast it with normal timing restrictions. That's what I
Okay,
would
good.
assume.
Yeah, that's how I would have played it. Normally.
okay, so basically this lets you, if you've built the deck right, it basically lets you draw a card.
Yeah, it's a build around me card, I feel.
It is a build around, and I feel like I've heard rumblings of this Icewind Storm deck going around, where you basically play a whole bunch of things very quickly and draw a bunch of cards and play a whole bunch more things really quickly. With the payoff being the new lock that we'll get to later, but
Yes.
I feel like this card would
big
go
boy.
into that deck because everything is so low cost.
Yeah. Unless you hit your lock, then you cry.
That's when you shed a tear and you press F in the comment section.
There is a water card that lets you look at the top card, isn't there?
There's an ice card that lets you look at the top card as well.
Actually reminds me, like, I was honestly thinking when I saw this, maybe I bring back Ice Water Scry again, because you have Starter Yule to look at the top card of your deck at any time. You have all the Astrologians, which lets you, like, look at top card. You have the Geomancer that looks at top card. So, maybe?
Because I do remember, like, it only lasted for 15 minutes, but there was that Ultimecia look at top card deck, where you would try and wait till you have, like, a really good card on top, and try and go Ultimecia to play the top card for free. So I don't know if this would help with that archetype deck, or if it's still just dead in the water, but it could be a fun idea if people want to play with it.
It's tier fun.
Yes, I will. I was trying to be more polite, but yes, it's tier fun.
It is tier fun. If you can make it work, go ahead.
Yeah, like...
as far as Amatadelian goes, it's a nice card. Like, being able to play off the top of your deck historically has been a very good effect. You will need to know what's there first, so it needs to be paired with something else, which I feel like increases the actual CP cost of the card to something like 4. Beyond that, it's like being able to play off the top of your deck has always been a very powerful effect in other TCGs. So I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not this will be just as powerful as in the other games.
It also comes down to if you're running a deck purely that will always hit as well. I don't know how feasible that is in FF, because we have got a lot of really big, good hitters now. But it also comes down to, I don't care what I hit, I know everything in my deck will trigger.
Yes, but another thing you got to very seriously watch out for is if you're playing multiples of certain cards and they don't have the multi-card symbol, you may as well just pay effective 4 CP to remove the top card of your deck from the game.
Yeah. Well, if we ever get a Highlander format in FF, which is horrible, never, don't, I'm joking. Right.
Yeah.
I personally don't have any issues with Highlander, but that may be because I won a Highlander tournament with 7 lightnings.
I like the format, but I don't feel FF is very feasible for it.
You'd be surprised.
Okay, I enjoy being proven wrong, and it is my favorite one of my favorite Magic formats. So if we can get it in FF, I'm not going to be complaining. Next card, 2-cost Ice Forward, Ulumia. Ice forwards other than Ulumia you control get plus 1k power. Damage 3. So damage 3 means if you've taken that much damage or more, you get to use this ability for anyone new to chat. Damage 3, dull it. Choose one ice forward. It gets 2k power until end of turn. Then it has a damage 5. Again, if you have 5 or more damage. Dull this. Choose one ice forward. Until end of the turn, it gets plus 2 power. Haste, First Strike, and Brave. I kind of just like it for the +1k power to all other ice forwards. It is a
That
5k.
goes.
I did miss saying it.
It
It is
is
a 5k
another.
forward.
Yes. It is another anthem effect for ice, which I think that takes them up to 3 now. Off the top of my head.
Yeah, something like that. Plus all the ones that pump a category or a type.
The upside of the card is that it's a 2-cost forward, so it's really cheap. It can come back with things like Phoenix, so you can turn it into a combat trick. The downside of the card is that it's a 5k, so it's easy to kill,
Yeah.
which basically negates the effect of it being a combat trick.
I like it because it's a bard.
It can target itself. Oh, yeah, Licking Nipples just said at the same time I did. It can hit itself.
Yeah, can buff itself. It's great and all that other stuff. But yeah, like making your locks and your Genesises 8Ks at worst is kind of fine, I would say. And then just giving them haste is a big deal in Mono Ice. But again, that's dependent on how good Mono Ice is.
Yes, will we see the return of Mono Ice or not?
I think there's a card that we're going to talk about later on that may actually point in the direction of Mono Ice making the return. But
It's something I really just like about FF in general. Whenever we get a new set, it opens up the doorway for so many different ideas, not just, one or two or one consistent one we've been stuck with for the last 5 years. We get a legitimate shake-up every set, I felt.
that's what this game is so good for.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Biggest deal.
Okay,
That
we
it's
got
shake up
we got
the entire
Ryan's
format.
we got Ryan's best boy over here, Necron.
Ooh, yes.
5-cost ice, forward, 9k. This text box is a little long and a bit of a doozy, so I'll go slow. You can pay 2 or more. You can play 2 or more dark cards onto the field. So he gets around the 1 dark card at a time. Doesn't work for light, only dark. When Necron enters the field, choose one character other than Necron you control. Its element becomes dark. This effect does not end at the end of turn, so the card is dark permanently, and I would assume after Necron dies. At the end of each of your turns, if you control 3 or more dark characters, Necron deals your opponent 1 point of damage. So, the gamble for this, in a nutshell, which we'll go into detail, is if you have 3 or more dark cards, you start having this really powerful free damage effect, but that means running a lot of dark cards in your deck.
With that being said, however,
Yep, I'll let Ryan have his fun now.
You have cards like Camelanaut, which can change its element. You have Chaos, which is searchable by Camelanaut and allows you to get around that anyway. So even if they kill the Necron, you're still fine. Consistent burn damage is a rarity in this game. I think the only other one that saw any sort of play was Luso. And even then, you rarely ran it for the burn damage effect. You ran it because of the fact that it was a big 2-cost for your goal bets.
Yes.
I personally absolutely love it. I know it's probably not going to see any sort of play, but I still love it to bits. One of the downsides I can see with this card at least, is it changes the card to dark full stop, which means it doesn't keep its other elements, which means the backup you most likely target with this is going to be tapping for some awkward CP.
Heard a lot of people talk about some very interesting interactions with Necron. Things like turning your ramp hair dark while you have a light wall in play, break both of them 9k or forward, get your ramp hair trigger.
Yeah.
So I've heard a lot of very interesting, perhaps very silly things.
And that's why I
from
love
several
this card.
people.
It's just so silly and it's so cool, and it's Cat 9. I love it.
Slight plug on this one. If you want to hear some very good opinions on this card, just go check out Shikadi. He spoilt the card, and he's probably far more qualified than any of us to talk about it in great detail.
Oh, yes.
But as far as I'm concerned, this card it's a solid build around. It's also very important to note that the searcher for Camelanaut and Eldnash happens to be in ice as well. So you could probably play this and do some very sneaky, tricky things with it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of really good potential, but most of the potential I've seen has been fun and jokes. But I've seen joke decks come out and become tier 1 or 0 out of nowhere, so... Also, I feel, just as a fun thing, you could do a JoJo pose when you play it.
Yeah. Something like that.
I'll leave that to you guys.
Yeah. I'd be more leaning towards Ice Earth with this, because then you can run Star Sibyl to search out your Camel Nords and your Eldnash, as well as backup or whatever it's called that searches Cam and Eld. But that's just me.
Yeah, go back to the old Dark Earth
Back
shell.
up 3-drop card name.
Yeah, card name, whatever it's called. That's its name now.
See, this is why we need chat. We need
with
smarter
text
people
box.
than us.
Yeah.
I
Even
can't be
though-
bothered looking it up right now.
Yevanoil, that's it.
There we go.
We'll move on to the next card.
Yep.
Oh, this one's been my favorite. I enjoyed it during the pre-release. Eshanatarl, 4-cost 8k ice forward. It's essentially Star Sibyl on an ice forward. You return Alaknash to its owner's hand, so you don't break it, you move it to your hand. Play one forward of cost 7 or less other than card named Eshanatarl from your hand onto the field. You can only use this ability during your turn.
This is the kind of thing that I'd like experimenting with in Ice Fire. This is another forward which says, if I have haste, I'm doing stupid things.
Yes. That's where I'm going with this card when I first read it.
I'm going to casually play my BFA out of my hand on turn 1 and still have a card in hand which reads Ashantal, which could potentially play another big stupid thing. Who knows? It's also important to note that Umaro is another very powerful 7-drop that could potentially...
You want to know what else is a pretty good 7-drop? Opus 7 Sephiroth?
Yeah, but that one's an 8k forward.
Yeah, but on the bright side, it feels a little less bad considering you didn't pay 7 for it.
That's true. You just paid the 4 CP plus the 4, so that's 6 CP plus the 2 CP to give that haste. So you pay 10 CP for a 7 CP
and that's
forward.
if you give it haste. Like, even without the haste effect, you just need to wait a turn. And if they're killing your 4-cost 8k, they're not killing your 7-cost, your bigger dude. So, go ahead. I'm okay baiting your best removal with my 4-cost, setup. And just the joke I had is giving it Brave. Like, give it Brave, attack, then pop it.
It is also important to note that it doesn't specifically say during your main phase. You can throw this thing off in combat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to be really funny.
Yeah. Attack, deal, someone blocks, maybe find a trick to untap it, tap it, play a haster, swing again. You can do stuff like that.
There's also Cat 11, which is maybe a big deal.
That I'm not sure
That could be
about.
a sizable thing. The most important thing is that this card seems like a fantastic way to experiment with this game.
Yeah.
And that's all we're looking for, just a way to play around and try
A way
things.
to meme. Speaking of memes.
Yep. You remember Snow? I think we needed more Snow. We have Eduardo, 4-cost ice backup. When Eduardo enters the field, dull all the characters opponent controls. It has a special Dire Dirge. 5 ice, break all dull backups. Nope, that second thing does hit your ones as well. But I don't care about that. I just like its first ability. When it enters the field, dull all characters opponent controls.
So who decided to give Ice Bahamut 0?
For 2 less? As a
As
backup?
a character.
That's the character.
That also dulls your opponent's backline so they can't actually respond to you by activating everything with the Diablos.
They've got then and there, and that's it.
I want to get like a fusion dance joke thing of just like a Snow and Bahamut Zero and
I'm
this
a
pops
zero
up.
and Egghead Dwarf.
You know what's even worse about this card is that responding to the ETB with a Diablos is the absolute worst possible thing you could do because all your characters still end up dull anyway.
Yeah,
Yep. Gotta love the stack.
yeah. This was considered one of the big "you win this sealed event" cards.
Yep.
That's probably because it is. You play this, you win the game. As far as putting it into a constructed deck, I mean, it is a bard. If you like bards, that's a thing.
I just hate that it's an Eduardo, so I can't play other Eduardo and have the Behail for Bards.
Or you can, you just discard this to do the... It's Eduardo that does the counter spell, isn't it?
No, Edward.
Edward.
Edward, damn.
Edward, never heard of him.
But, yeah...
As far as cards go, this is a great way to say I'm winning the game this turn. It is as you said before, it's basically another Snow, but you can hide it for longer.
Yes.
Whereas with Snow, you kind of want to play it a little bit earlier so you get the dull effects more often. Another thing that I quite like about this, it doesn't target. So
Yeah.
it gets around the shenanigans of Braska's Find a Way on and Neo X Death
Oh, yes.
or
No,
anything. And
no.
it also means that anything that's immune to your opponent's abilities, it doesn't care. It's going dull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one ever expects the Spanish Eduardo.
Yes.
If I could find three copies of Spanish Eduardo,
You
I
play
will
them
play
off.
this card. I will actually play this card in a deck. If
Chat, we
somebody's-
have our official first challenge. If anyone can find this...
If somebody can send 3 copies of Spanish Eduardo to any one of us,
Yep.
we will play this card in a competitive deck.
Oh, now he's making this bet for me and Ryan as well. Damn. How do we
I
find
mean,
this?
I'd be happy to jump.
I'm fine with it. It seems great.
Yep.
But
Guys-
in all seriousness, though, this is actually a solid "I win the game" card. Like it is
Yeah, like-
basically a Bahamut Zero. It says the card text reads "I win the game."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's another thing to go with Opus 3 Shiva. Just say, cool, you tried, but no.
Close but no cigar.
Yep.
And and I feel the only way you wouldn't lose to this is if you like discard your whole hand to play one thing to, save yourself. And even then, you've just discarded your whole hand to save yourself.
Yeah.
During your opponent's turn.
Yes, during your opponent's turn. So, yeah, I think this is-
Realistically, it's only something like Diablos or maybe Shematai from Opus 10 or 9. Probably 9. That says activate all your forwards. Those are the sorts of cards that can save you.
Yeah.
But
And
if
let's be
you're
fair, who's going to play Shemazai these days, I reckon?
you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
We'll go on to the
Hey,
next
shall we
card.
move on?
Let's move on before I lose my mind.
Also, if you guys need a break, just let me know. We'll probably need one halfway through at some point. We got Emmett Selch. 4-cost ice forward, 9k. I'm just going to call him Emmett. When Emmett is chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities, remove Emmett from the game. If you do so, play Emmett onto the field at the end of your turn. It has damage 5. When Emmett enters the field, you may pay 1 ice when you do select one of the 2 following actions. The first one is dull 1 forward, break it. Choose 1 dull forward, break it, sorry. The second effect is choose 1 forward of cost 2 or less in your break zone, play it onto the field. I like its effects, but again, you have to be on damage 5 to get it.
This is going to be a forward that's more difficult to remove than Kadaj.
Yes.
How does anybody feel about that?
Here's my feeling. I don't know whether this card is insane or a complete and total trap. Because, yeah, it's impossible to deal with.
The answer is yes.
4 cost 9k, impossible to deal with. But it sucks when you're behind.
It's not a card that you want to play onto the field when you are behind, because it's just like, oh, I'll ping it.
Also, it says
You no
chosen
longer
by...
have a forward.
It also says chosen by summons or abilities, not removal summons or abilities. They can just do something like ping it for 1k, it's no longer your blocker.
Astrologian, choose 1 forward, activate it, win the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And I mean,
just simple, silly things like that. It's just like, yes, if you're at damage 5, that's when things start getting a little bit spicier because then you could just go, cool, you've removed my thing. You've put me to damage 5. I'm now going to kill your thing.
Yes, pay 1 ice to kill a dull forward is pretty good.
paying 1 ice to revive a 2-cost forward is pretty good, considering we just talked about Ulmia, which is a really good one. And there's also a bunch of other random ones like your Black Waltz 3 and the like, which really like being recurred.
I agree with that. On the same token, though, it's just one of those cards where it's just like, yes, this is impossible to truly remove, but there's so much little stuff that can just get it out of the way. So this is either going to be the best card on the field or the worst card on the field. There's no in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Emperor as well.
Yeah, the Emperor is just another target as well. Thanks, Licking.
Well, we'll get to that card.
Yeah, certainly.
Oh, Carbuncle. Good puppy boy. 2 cost summon. Select one of the 3 following actions. If your opponent has 2 cards or less in their hand, select up to 2 of the 3 following actions. The first one is choose 1 forward, dull it. The second is choose 1 ice forward. It gets plus 2k until end of turn. Third ability is choose up to 2 characters opponent controls, freeze them.
I am very high on this card. This card is bonkers.
It feels just like a really good upgrade of Shiva. It just feels like a really good upgrade of Shiva.
It's not just a really good upgrade of Shiva. It says, I am a combat trick that doesn't rely on dulling your things.
Yeah. Ice having combat tricks is pretty dangerous in my... And being able to freeze backups as well. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was going to say the final ability is
able to freeze backups.
I'll be honest. Like, this card is the secret legend of Ice.
Yeah.
This card is just filthy powerful. There's so much going for it. Like, even if you just go, like, if your opponent has 2 cards in hand and you're swinging and they try and block, you could just go pop by forward, freeze your backups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you've put them, I want to say, 3 turns behind pace for 2 CP.
Yeah, for 2 CP.
It's disgusting how powerful this card is.
Oh, yes.
If there's an ice deck that's not running this Carbuncle, I will have questions for you.
Yeah.
Challenge number 2.
Run ice with our Carbuncle and
break Rob. But yeah, like during the pre-releases I was doing, I was almost tempted to run ice just for this card alone, but I thought better when there's like no ice cards that I opened.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, that was really hard for me. I was sitting there just sweating, going, no, be the smart guy, but the card is so good.
Yeah. It's also Cat 9, so I'm obliged to love it.
I do like that a lot of the good cards we're not spending much time on because they're fairly obvious.
Yeah.
It's category 9 as well. It's just like, oh, who's still playing titles nowadays? He is probably the best summon available for that deck.
Yeah.
And that deck is already very good.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about the forbidden format.
Let's not.
Yeah.
Okay, we got our Scholar, 2 cost ice backup. It has a dull ability, choose 1 forward, until end of turn it loses haste, first strike, and brave. I'm feeling this is just tech, but I feel there's a lot of 2 cost ice backups that fill that slot much better.
Choose 1 card named Belias, cancel its effect. That's how this card reads to me, but on the same token though, it is very much a tech card. And if everybody starts playing like haste and first strike on the regular, then I would be obliged to start running this Scholar. Otherwise, next.
Yeah. 2 cost backup that does something in ice. If sideboards were a thing, it'd be a 3-0.
Yes. Oh, we'll move on. That one was a very short and sweet one.
Yep.
Gunbreaker. Ironically, his gun is not broken, so I'm kind of disappointed. 4 cost ice forward, 8k. When Gunbreaker forms a party and attacks, your opponent discards 1 card from their hand.
Similar vein to Scholar, this is basically a blank text box.
Yeah. Opus 1 black belt next.
Yeah, actually.
It felt like they were trying to do Thaumaturge
party
without
with your
doing
big ice
Thaumaturge.
forward, you can do things. If you form a party with your big ice forward, you can do things. But why are you forming parties with your big ice forwards? What can't you climb over?
Yeah, it's not even a Warrior of Light, so it's not even a good party card.
Exactly.
Yeah, like move on.
Yeah, I'm ready. We went from a Scholar to a Bard. 3-cost ice backup. When your opponent discards a card from their hand due to your summon or ability, you may put Bard into the break zone. When you do so, draw 2 cards. If this was a 2-cost, maybe, but I don't feel it with 3-cost.
If this was a 2-cost, it'd be legitimately broken.
Yeah, I agree. If this was 2 costs, it'd be busted. At 3, it's perfectly costed that you would probably want to run 1 if you were dedicated discard just to refill your hand. Like there's cards which can take full advantage of this, like Glacier Lavolas, where you just go, I'm going to 7k your dull forward, you're going to discard a card from your hand, and now I'm going to break this and draw 2 cards. It pays for itself, but it pays for itself later.
Yeah.
All I can say is rip Thaumaturge and Gaspar.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
We're at the Emperor. 2-cost
Speaking
ice
of
forward.
Thaumaturge and Gaspar.
Oh boy.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what those cards are. They sound like gibberish to me.
All right.
Welcome, AUP. It's Freaky. Oh, it's our friend. Oz Freaky, I'm assuming. Okay, next card. 2-cost the Emperor. Ice forward. 5k. When the Emperor enters the field, if you have 2 or more cards named the Emperor in your break zone, your opponent discards 1 card from their hand. When the Emperor is put from the field into the break zone, you may search for 1 card named the Emperor and put it into the break zone. If you do, play the Emperor from the break zone onto the field dull at the start of the next turn. I just feel it's a bad 2-cost Golbez, I think.
At the end of the turn.
Yeah, it's at the
end of the turn.
So, Miss Dragon, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it just feels like a bad bad copy of the 2-cost Golbez.
That being said, I want someone to break this.
Well, you just want to see Mono Emperor the deck?
Yeah, totally.
You're not wrong. I will say that. You are not wrong.
Like, these reads similar to, if you remember, the Magus Sisters from Opus. I think it was Opus 9 that had those as well. Or it could be Opus 8. I can't remember. But it's a similar style of effect. You could search for a copy of itself to put this thing back into play. I don't know whether or not I don't know what's more dangerous. Like, being able to EX burst, remove a card from your deck that you don't need anymore, or your opponent discarding a card. On the same token, though, yes, being able to have a 2-cost on-curve discard. I say on-curve, I'm talking about the old curves from back in Opus 1. But on the same token, it also means you're running, I don't know how many Emperors. This reads similar to the Opus 7 Gilgamesh, where you want a lot of copies of the card, but the payoff requires too many for you to warrant using it.
Sorry, Gilgamesh, not Golbez. That was my bad. I think it was Golbez is the 2-cost one that searches for more.
Yes, it's Gilgamesh.
Sorry, my bad.
At least you don't have to pay for it.
That is true.
Yes.
Well, you kind of do have to pay for it. You're paying 2 CP by putting an Emperor into the break zone. It's just handy that you could pay 2 Dark CP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, we'll move on. Oh, we've got a new Shiva. I don't think I've seen this one. FFEX. Would someone like to explain that one to me?
Final Fantasy Explorers.
Okay.
It's the same game Amaterasu is from.
Yeah. Alright, 2-cost summon Shiva. Ice card. Choose 1 dull forward, deal it 10k damage, minus 1k for each card in your opponent's hand. Oh, I have seen this one, actually.
Yes, I blew you out with it at pre-release.
Yes, that's the card you stole from me with Lani.
Yeah, and then...
made me cry.
That's how it works.
I did that twice in the same game during a pre-release. It was hilarious.
What, used Lani to steal a Shiva?
No, blew somebody out with Shiva. They were playing the Wind Dancer. You could tap it to deal 1k, but if you've got 7 Wind characters, you could deal 4k. They had exactly 7 when they tapped the dancer
Oh,
with 2 cards in hand. So it's just like, I'm going to tap my dancer to 4K your field. I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
Now you have 6 characters. 1K
Yep.
my field. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
yes.
So here's the thing about this card. I see it as like a reverse Opus 3 VV. The difference is it's much harder to draw cards on the stack than it is to discard cards on the stack. So this thing's going to be, I'd say under normal circumstances, 2-cost deal 7 or deal 8 to adult forward.
This card is basically Doom Train with a different name.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, no, now I remember this one. I really liked this card when I saw it. And it's a common, so plenty of people are going to have it.
Yep. And it's also a Shiva, so that's good.
Yeah, so if you want to play the Shiva package, but I don't think that's been seen for a while.
There's just so many better summons that aren't named Shiva.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Pain Train, as you said. Glacially Abortus.
Yeah. Glazier's... But I digress. Still a fine card.
Alright. Oh, no. I think this is a really good card. 2-cost Ice Summoner backup. When you cast a summon, you may put Summoner into your break zone. When you do so, choose one forward, dull it, and freeze it. I don't know. I think they're just better cards that do it.
Who likes the limited format?
Oh, it was great for limited.
That's the only place it's great in, to be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say there are better ways to do everything this card does.
It's saying that you can be very spicy with this thing, and you cast Zalera the Death Seraph from Opus 3, and you dull and freeze their 5-drop.
And then kill it. It's great.
But if you're doing it like that, why aren't you just playing the Opus 7 Terror?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
And also, I will say this card is a little bit overshadowed by its own set. There is a lot of really cool 2-cost ice summons backups, that we have seen. That will just take this card's spot in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'll move on from that. Oh, this guy was so much fun in pre-release. The Crystal Exarch. 4-cost ice forward, 7k. At the beginning of your main phase 2, during each of your turns, you may play 1 forward of cost equal to or less than the number of ice backups you control from hand onto field. I was able to use this card in Limited to play 4 dudes for the cost of the 4 ice, practically. Sorry, 6. I paid 2 for the final one because the one I played before it untapped my backups. Or untapped 2 backups. I saw a lot of fun stuff with this card.
So here's what I like. It's a case of, alright, bounce Eshin Tile, play my 7-drop. Main phase 2, play Eshin Tile. But the thing is, this card is never going to live to main phase 2.
But that's
it never will.
I don't think
the only time that I can think of this being like relevant in main phase 2 is if you devout it back during combat.
Yeah.
But I don't
But even then, it's just like, why are you devouting back a Crystal Exarch during combat when you
when you could be devouting
that Renoa that you put in your break zone?
Or that Genesis.
Yeah.
Whatever else.
But as far as the effect on the card goes, it is quite a powerful effect. I'm unsure about it because it pushes you towards mono ice, which means you're going to be playing cards probably like Sid Allstein and Azure Dragon Saw You, which are probably the end goal of the cards you want to try and get into play with this thing. But
true.
The thing that I've found for a fair few ice forwards is that, especially in the 4-drop slot, is that everything's 7k. There's no real power in the 4-drop slot for ice forwards. Everything you got 2, which is great because you got very powerful 2-cost forwards. You got very powerful 3-cost forwards, and then the powerful 4-cost forwards in ice are Genesis, Renoa, and that's it.
Yeah. Also trades really poorly with Amaterasu, but then again, that's most cards.
Yeah, I was gonna that's. Yeah, I don't know. I think this could find. I think this could find home because if they are using their removal to kill this, you're still not losing your main win cons. You're losing another tech card or a cheat card. And we have seen a lot of support to go back to mono ice so far, so I think it could be a thing.
Maybe. I wouldn't be
Maybe be the
surprised.
card that pushes Mono Ice, but I don't think it's a reason to go back into Mono Ice.
No, I
But,
will definitely agree with that. I think it has a place, but it isn't the main reason.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go to the next one. Oh, we do have a Snow. 6
Ah.
cost...
No.
Next.
Yeah, next.
We
I'm
don't
gonna
even-
read.
we
I'm
don't even
gonna.
need to read
I'm
that.
gonna read it just so everyone do it, and then we're gonna go next. 6 cost ice forward, 7k Snow. When Snow enters the field, you may search for 2 cards named Sarah, each with a different cost, and add them to your hand. Snow cannot search for 1 card. Oh my god. When Snow attacks, you may dull 1 active category 13 forward you control. When you do so, choose 1 forward, dull it, and freeze it. It does nothing for 6 cost.
Good job.
Literally, the best thing about this card is the artwork, and they wasted it. They
Good job,
wasted the
Bergen.
artwork.
Let me see the...
Good
They
job.
wasted that
Oh,
artwork.
yeah, actually that is a good artwork. I wasn't paying attention to the
Yeah,
artwork.
the Cydia artwork's good, but congratulations, Opus 2 Bergen. You're no longer the worst card in the game.
So Shivan has to draft it at the next major event.
I kid you not, this is the biggest waste of this style of artwork since they printed Squall in Opus 2.
Yep.
And you know what the worst thing is, people? There isn't a Sarah in Limited in the set it's in.
There are also no other Cat 13 forwards in
Yeah.
this set.
Yes, it's not even good for Limited.
It's just a 6 cost 7k for... Alright, no, I want...
Now, if you're
I'll take
playing
this.
titles, you'll probably rub this card, but who plays titles?
The one saving grace of this card is it's a rare, not a heroic or legendary.
Yeah.
It's a bit bad even as a common. Like.
Yeah, I know. But it didn't take away a more important card. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still concerned about the fact that they wasted such an amazing artwork on such a dull, drab, and dreary ass card.
We already have a strictly better version of this card that also happens in Snow.
I think we have several. Alright.
Oh my
Let's
God.
move on from Snow and go to Nuge.
Another card that depresses me.
Yeah.
I opened it in pre-release and you just hear me just throw it into the box without halfway through reading it.
Yep.
Nuge. 4 cost ice forward, 8k EX burst. When Nuge enters the field, choose 1 character opponent controls. If your opponent has 2 cards or less in their hand, dull it and freeze it. So an upgrade from Snow.
Then again, what isn't?
This is basically a black belt with EX burst written on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
For no reason.
I mean, hey, Genesis, how you doing? At least it's an EX burst. At least it can hit backups. But it's
yeah, but if
never
I'm
gonna be
running an
played
EX burst that dulls my opponent's forwards and potentially freezes it, I'm going to run Opus 1 Laguna.
Exactly.
Yeah, this was a good
Don't worry.
change to the last card. Well,
Yeah, don't worry. There's a good ice card coming up very soon.
oh no, I removed it from the list to be funny.
Oh no.
Rude.
Alright. 3 cost ice backup Bell. When Bell enters the field, your opponent reveals their hand. Select 1 card of cost 4 or more in their hand. Your opponent discards this card.
This is another fantastic way to get information from your opponent, and that's probably the most powerful thing about this effect. Yes, it discards the card as well, which is incredible. This is a fantastic card. It's also FFCC, which is extremely relevant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Searchable by Norstalen.
It even curves perfectly from Nostalen as well. It's great.
I defy anyone to tell me a deck that doesn't run 4-drops, at least.
Yes.
Maybe that Amatadelian deck. But
Yeah,
that's literally the only deck that would run a higher number of 4-cost cards.
Yeah, and I mean, even then, it's still running some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a bit of fun. I think I got 2 of these in one of the decks I played, and it was really helpful most of the time. I only whiffed a couple of times, and this one my opponent had low number cards in hand. And at that point, it's still fine. I was just looking to see if they had a threat in hand. You don't have a threat? Cool, I know I swing now for win.
Yep, big deal.
The next question, though, who the hell in the Dublin team thought it was a great idea to give Ice, which is already an element full of discard effects, a Thought Seize?
Yes.
They gave him a Thought Seize last set as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the second one,
Why
isn't
do
it?
they? No, the thing is, cake chips from last set, that was fine, because you still draw a card back.
Yeah, but you're
You
hitting
still
him.
got a card back.
Yeah, but you're still hitting something.
You're also
and
still
it's
looking at
a-
their hand.
Yeah.
You are getting information again. That's perfectly fine, but
So it's not so much
What
Thought
about the
Seize,
Thought
it's more closer to what's the Phyrexian one?
Gitaxian
Despise?
Gitaxian Probe. You just do it to peek at their hand to see if you've won or not.
Yeah. And as Freaky mentions, yeah, this thing's misprint foil.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we've seen a few of those.
Yeah.
they're everywhere. I actually cracked one earlier this morning when I cracked the box.
Oh wow,
That's pretty good.
I would like to get one just to have one as a collecting. Right.
It's apparently they're all over Australia. It's just happy hunting.
Oh, that's cool.
Good stuff.
Oh look, it's the same as the cross art squalls from the Wave 1. I would like to get them over time.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the birth of the Wave 1 Opus 12 box collectors?
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Hey man, I got Shantotto full art. I'm happy.
Rude.
Freaky,
move
actually,
on.
the one who just joined us, he said, there's a full art Snow in this box, and he got it. So good call.
Yeah. Full art lock, yeah.
Sorry, Lock. God,
Yeah.
he's so
Either
bad
way.
you can't get him out of your head. Alright, next card. We have the Ice Cycle of the Monsters. 3-cost Mimic. I'll just read the thing and I assume we're skipping this. It's either a 7k forward, again permanently, or you put him into the break zone immediately. When you do so, choose one forward, freeze it. Your opponent discards one card from their hand.
Why the hell am I casting Glacial Lobolus at sorcery speed? Next.
And not being able to choose the other two modes of Glacial Lobolus.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. The one thing it couldn't mimic was a Glacioliobolus.
Yeah. At least it's Cat 9, but I'm still gonna hate it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, we're starting on our first wind card.
Oh boy.
Guess which wind card starts with A, guys? We have Ash. 2-cost wind forward, 5k. If you control 6 or more characters, Ash gains plus 2k power, and Ash cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities. At the end of each of your turns, if you have cast 3 or more cards this turn, draw 1 card.
Firstly, it's abilities only for Ash. Wind isn't that good at stopping summons, except for Solar. This is another one for those that are trying to build this Storm deck.
Yeah, the Storm deck is
People-
really good for
Certainly.
this.
People are sitting there like screaming at everybody else, saying it's a 0-cost 7k that can't be touched. Why aren't you playing this card? I'm not playing this card because I don't know where its home is yet.
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's good, I don't know where. At worst, 5 backups plus this, cool, she's a 7k.
Like, maybe in that FFCC deck, mono win deck that just kept untapping everything and playing more and more stuff, maybe. But
Yeah.
with all this new FFC stuff we've been getting, I feel that deck will be the weaker of the FFC if we do see that come back.
And here's my next question with this card. If I'm playing 4 cards just to draw 1, where are these other cards coming from?
Yes.
Probably from cards coming up.
Yeah, there is one card that's coming up that will replenish that sort of stuff, but
Again, it's what
sort
home
of,
is it
it's sort
in?
of just hold on. It's sort of just why am I still haven't figured out why I'm playing this card yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Should
give this,
be good.
It's a very big potential card.
Yeah, should be good at some point. I don't know if now is that point.
Alright, we'll move
Looks
on.
beautiful in full art too, by the way.
Althea.
I know how gorgeous this thing is full art. I have one.
Oh,
Yes, I have a full art
now
too.
I feel bad.
bad.
Althea, I loved this card. 3-cost wind backup. When Althea enters the field, choose one character other than Althea you control, activate it. Choose one character. It has a dull effect. Choose one character other than Althea you control. Return it and Althea to its owner's hand. It either protects your dudes or it's really good for playing multiple ETB effects. It also counters Amaterasu.
Yes.
I love this
This is
backup.
probably the card you'd want. Like, this is the sort of card you'd want to run in this weird storm deck, because it doesn't necessarily say how you're playing the cards, like, as long as you're casting the cards, right? If you just go, I'm going to play this Althea and I'm going to pick up something that's really cheap, play the really cheap thing, play the Althea, all of a sudden you've just gone up 2 on your storm count. That's the sort of card that you could see. Like, Althea reads more like a storm card than Ash does.
Yeah.
No,
Also,
My big-
I've already seen a few people turn this into an infinite combo loop.
Oh, that's not the only one out of this set.
yeah.
But yeah, I like it. Reads really well. It's FFCC, so it's searchable.
Yes.
And yeah, I do expect it to see a bit of play.
We have a true princess.
Yes.
But yeah, I just love everything on this card.
Yeah, the card is very strong. Like, it does a lot of very powerful things, and the fact that it recycles itself as well. Like, it's a scholar that you don't have to put in the bin.
Yeah. And even when you play it again, it's still a 2 cost in essence if you untap a backup.
Yeah, like this is the sort of card that I would be happy to be playing against, if like playing with in a storm deck.
Right, next card, Alexander. 1 cost
Speaking of
wind
storm
EX
decks?
summon.
Yep.
Yeah. Draw 1 card. If you have cast 4 or more cards this turn, draw 2 instead.
1 CP draw 2 seems pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's certainly a lot better than Fanfred FFTA was.
Yeah.
You know what's even better about this card? You can search for it.
Yep.
And to be
Using
honest,
the Opus 4 Hope. So
Yep.
there you go. We've got the next challenge for everyone. Build a storm deck.
oh, I've got
Show
plans for
Liz.
that.
Yep.
I've tried building the storm deck and I'm still so confused.
I suppose we can only hope.
And even at its worst, it's a 1 cost, draw 1, and it's an EX burst.
Yeah. It being EX is good.
This is very good.
A question I
helps.
want to point out, just for chat, I know the answer, but do EX bursts count towards storm count?
No,
Yep.
They do not.
They do not.
You're just activating the ability then and there.
Yes, so that's something to keep in mind for anyone building a storm deck. The EX bursts do not count.
However, if you played 3 cards before this and you play this, it will count to draw 2.
Yes.
That's right.
Right, next card. Endeku. God names.
Enkidu.
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 3
This
cost.
card is actually a 0 CP forward.
Yes.
Yep.
3 cost wind forward, 7k. When Endeku enters the field or attacks, deal 1k damage to all forwards opponent controls. Hurricane special, choose 1 forward, deal it damage equal to its power -1.
Yeah.
This card is actually a 0 cost forward. Like,
Yeah.
you completely ignore the cost at the top left hand corner. You can ignore the fact that it's a wind card.
Yeah.
It's a 0 cost forward. We'll explain why when we go through another card later on, but this card is actually 0 cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
In that specific trick.
Yeah. Even outside of that, like, it's more board damage for decks that care about that, for more reasons we'll get into later.
Yeah, you guys know I've always been a fan of the Dancer effect decks. I've always gone back to them in some regard. And now we have a forward one.
It's also a Job Warrior, which is interesting because that means it's searchable by Hugh Yer.
Yeah, I was going to say, Job Warrior is the other thing I was going to... Oh, this card's really fun.
Being fair, if you are playing it as a 0 cost forward, you never want to search for it.
Yeah, no. But, like, I'm saying outside of...
Outside of that, yeah, you can search for it because it's Job Warrior. It has the AOE ping effect, which is it's something that Wind does. They always do small small damage to everything rather than big lumps like fire does.
Yeah, it's the ping color or crystal. All right, next. Speaking of which, Dancer, 3-cost wind forward, 7k. You may dull Dancer, deal 1k damage to all forwards opponent control. If you control 7 or more wind characters, not forward, deal 4k damage to all forwards opponent control. So your backups will count towards this card, and your monsters will as well.
Yeah, so this is the card that I was talking about earlier that I kept blowing out with Shimon.
Yep.
In pre-release. As far as the card goes, it's okay. It's there. It does things. I don't see it being played in like high-end decks or anything like that. People are free to prove me wrong, but I don't see it being played everywhere.
Here's the thing I'll give it to it. It's got the multi-symbol. You can play this with the backups.
Yeah. But
so you're gonna build us a Dancer deck, are you?
I'm thinking as a fun deck to do something like that, because I've always enjoyed the Dancer / combos, especially with Barbarisia. We have a few extra Barbarisias now in the colors. So
and now we have a few.
Yeah, and the fact that a lot of these forwards that do these tricks are these very weak, low to the ground, your opponent's removal is just removing the weakest cards in the deck to just open the way to big stuff.
Yeah.
Also, it's the same color as Diabolos.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think there is potential there to sort of have fun with this. I don't know if it'll be a powerful deck. I will agree to that. But I think the Dancer thing is getting a lot better this set.
Maybe it'll exist.
Yeah, maybe paired with something else.
You can play 50 cards and it might or not work.
Yeah.
Probably not, but we'll find out when that time comes.
We're up to our Monster of the Wind cycle, Cactar. 1-cost wind. You can either be a 4k forward or put Cactar into the break zone. When you do so, choose one forward. Your opponent reveals the top card of their deck. If the revealed card is 3-cost or less, deal it 1k damage. If the revealed card is 4-cost or more, deal it 10k damage.
Yeah, you might as well ignore that first part. You're never...
Yes.
I would.
I mean, I know you would, but like that's just... There are reasons, but I don't think this is one of those things.
This is actually a way for Realm to play 3 forwards in one turn.
Sure, but then you're not
playing 5 CP.
Goblin. Yeah, then you're not playing Goblin and then Saganashi. But I digress. I like the card to bits. I don't care if it's bad.
I think
the fact that it's 1-cost as well, like it's a 1-cost card, which means it's searchable by Realm as a 1-cost monster. You can have it as a 4k forward if you want to just go aggro. I do like the second part of the text as well because, again, information, very relevant.
Yeah, but I feel with the current way things are going, 3-cost or less decks are a bit borderline. And if you're playing a 3-cost or less deck, you kind of probably want the 1k more than the... Well, 10k is good, but the 1k will be just as effective.
Yeah. I feel like Rob said it about Lani, you're relying on your opponent for your cards to work.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a similar situation with this
and sorcery speed.
Yeah, and sorcery speed.
And sorcery speed, yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's not like the other Cactar, which you can do during any time you feel the other monster. This one is during your turn. Unless some cheaty face trick, which are pretty hard to do.
Could be doable.
I don't think there is anything that gets a monster back at instant speed, is there?
Not
unless you revive Realm.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I believe there's a Fisher in Opus 5.
Yeah, Fisher. Fisher would be it.
But then you're paying 3 CP plus the backup to get back a 1-cost Cactar.
Yeah.
And maybe kill an opponent's forward.
And maybe deal 10k damage. It's sort of just like, why?
Yeah. Anyway.
Next card. White Mage. 2-cost wind backup. When White Mage enters the field, choose up to 3 backups you control. If you have cast 3 or more cards this turn, activate them. Storm card.
Possible.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily call this a Storm card purely because it doesn't...
It is a Storm card. Whether it's a good one is the question.
I'd say no.
Yeah. Because it definitely is a Storm card. That's the point of the card. I just don't know if it's...
I'd
worth
probably, like, if I am building the Storm deck, I'd probably run it as a one-off. I wouldn't want multiples of this thing, purely because, A, it takes up a backup slot, which is probably going to be very tight in the deck anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
And B, if you cast 3 cards, and if you cast 3 cards and then this is... Well, if you cast 2 cards, actually, and this is your 3rd cast...
Yeah.
What do
You might not have anything...
What advantage are you getting? What
Yeah, like
advantage are you getting
might
out
not
of it?
have any cards left in hand to utilize the untap.
Exactly.
Yeah. At least it can activate itself. That's all I'll say.
Yes.
And it's the only saving grace I can see is it's a 2-cost backup, but even then, as you said, there are better slots.
It may as well have a blank text box. Besides, if I'm going to run a 2-cost white mage, I'll go back to Opus 6 and run that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
At least that one's good against good decks.
Yeah.
So I like what they were trying to do, but I think this was a bit of a miss. Oh, we're starting with the triplets.
Oh boy!
Yes, let's.
I
go.
got all 3 of those in the first pre-release, and I was so happy. But someone freaky didn't let me keep one of them. So 2-cost wind forward 5k. It's a Sin Hunter. For each job Sin Hunter other than Shikari X you control, Shikari X gains plus 2k power. Job Sin Hunter forwards other than X you control get haste, and the forward cannot be blocked by a forward of cost 4 or more. When X forms a party with a Y and Z, I'm just going to call them X, Y, and Z, and attacks, Shikari X deals your opponent 3 points of damage. So
I was playing a game earlier with a deck that built with this particular combination in mind, and I actually managed to pull it off. I managed to pull off the 3 points of damage 3 times in the same game. It just got stopped twice by Amaterasu. But as far as fun ways to play the game goes, this is hilarious. If you could pull this off, it's just the dumbest thing in the world.
And it will be a 2-cost 9k with the other 2 out.
Yeah, I feel like the other 2 are better because if we want to skip to the other 2 as well. So Shikari Y activates 3 backups.
Let
when
me
you
see
play
if
a
it's the
Sin
next
Hunter.
card because I...
Yeah, they are all after each
okay,
other.
We'll go to
Excellent.
Y then now. So another Sin Hunter, 2-cost wind 5k. For each job Sin Hunter other than Shikari Y you control, Y gets plus 2k power. So again, this will be a 9k if you have all 3 out. When job Sin Hunter other than Y enters the field, choose up to 3 backups, activate them. I really like that ability.
Yeah. So Y activates 3 backups, and Z, which is the last one, if a job Sin Hunter other than Shikari Z enters the field, draw a card.
Yeah, it's also a 2-cost wind 5k. So again, becomes a 9k with all 3 out.
Yeah, so I like those 2 better because they can play off of each other and make each other free.
You definitely want X to be the last one you play of the 3.
Yes. Yeah. 100% agree with that. You also want to play that with another card we'll mention later. But the key behind the 3 of them is it's just so much fun if you can make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they the only 3 Sin Hunters in the entire game?
Yes.
Technically 4 if you count Opus 1 Barts, but nah.
Yeah, because the biggest weakness I see is there's no way to support them or protect them.
Yeah.
Besides the general effects.
Is my view. So when it comes to the old XYZ Dragon Cannon here, you've got, a bunch of 2 costs. They are Cat 11, so they're searchable by Star Sibyl. And Earth can open up Hashmal for the ultimate memes.
So you're thinking Wind Earth would be a good spot for these?
Wind Earth could be good for like an aggressive deck. Wind Fire so that you can give X haste because X can't give herself haste.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I think the best way to give X haste is actually Enlightening.
Yeah, that too.
And in this set,
we're going to get to him, and it's going to be
we're gonna get to him in a moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
My experiment for these guys was going to be my Storm deck. I think just for fun, having them in the Storm deck might be potentially fun, but I'm not really confident about that.
Besides, these 3 do not pair well with Ice, to be honest.
No.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next card. Oh, it's my boys, Chocobo!
Yeah, buddy.
2-cost wind backup. When Chocobo enters the field, the forward you control can form party with any element they control this turn. Again, I think that's a very cool idea they're doing. I think partying with cross colors is fairly underrated or underutilized. It also has a tap ability. Forwards you control can form a party with forwards of any element this turn. So the turn after you play this, you can tap it to continue the effect again. Don't know where this would go, but I really love the idea of it.
It's actually not too bad. Like, as I mentioned before, I played this earlier today in a Wind Lightning deck, and the Chocobo actually goes in there quite smoothly.
Yeah, that's my thoughts, but I kind of was waiting more to see testing done, if this does find its spot in there in any deck.
My view is it has an incredibly relevant name, being a Chocobo.
Yep.
That now gives you a backup for that deck, even if... And it also has this sort of, like, really janky Exodia combo with... another card we'll get to later in Earth, as well as Onion Knight, Rosa, and Nodo, where you can just infinite attacks.
Neo Chocobo. We had Neo Chocobo for a season. Will we be seeing Neo Chocobo again?
I don't know. Maybe.
Don't make me do this. Don't make me ride the Valkyries into battle. And speaking of Chocobos, one of my favorite rares of this set. I absolutely love this card. 2-cost backup wind, Chocolate. It has a tap ability. Place 1 item counter on Chocolate. It has a second dull ability. Remove 2 item counters from Chocolate. Draw 1 card. You can only use this ability during your turn and once per turn. Now, it doesn't say put her into the break zone. You can repeat this as many times as you can tap it after the first time, once per turn you can draw the card. Nothing stopping you from having 2 items on it, tap it, remove, draw a card, untap it in wind, tap it again to put a counter on it, or do that at your opponent's second main. I love this card.
And with wind having access to every single reactivation piece in the world, it's like it can get out of control very quickly.
And that's why I assume they said once per turn for the second one. They knew this could get out of control unless they put that on there.
Yeah.
It's the return of Riku.
Yeah, that's actually a good point on this. It's a wind backup that does something.
Yes. And it's WAF. And it's WAF.
Reverse mill. It's a reverse Riku because it mills yourself instead.
It is a Chocobo type, despite the artwork.
Yeah. It is also a card named Chocobo, yes, which means it's searchable by about 50 cards.
Yep. I just love this card when I first read it. Like, as soon as I didn't see put into the break zone, I just went nuts on this card.
Oh, yeah. Certainly very good.
Alright. We're at Diabolos. 2-cost wind summon. Choose 1 forward. If it's had its power increased or decreased, break it. So this thing destroys buffs. Which is almost everything.
Or debuffs, yeah.
Or debuffs, yeah.
So this basically says, are you playing Warriors of Light today? You're not playing Warriors of Light today.
No, not at all.
The only thing that makes me sad about this card is no EX burst, but I understand why. I understand why.
Also, it's very important to note, and this is something that has actually been confirmed, that if you use a card like the other Diabolos to set the power, it is not the same as increasing or decreasing the power.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can't use Diabolos to set something to 1k and then this Diabolos to kill it.
Yeah.
You have to,
which I'm glad about, to be
actively
honest.
increase or decrease the power of the card. Which is actually really funny because Kadaj can say, I'm going to pump your forward, not mine.
I'm going to be half lost. Yeah. I love the card. When it's good, it's really good. But when it's bad, it's really bad.
At that point, you just discard it for something else.
Yeah, certainly.
So, I don't know. I think this is a card to look out for. I love the idea of it as well.
I feel like it's in a similar vein to Amaterasu, where if somebody goes Belias to try and protect the blocker, you can just go Diabolos dead. It's a very good gotcha card. And
for our new players out there, damaging something is not increasing or decreasing as well. So it doesn't work on damage. It is literally buffs and debuffs.
Play Enki 2, play Diablo.
Yeah.
Uh,
Alright. We've got our Ninja. Wind 2 cost backup. Ninja has 2 dull effects. The first one costs 1 wind and dull it. Choose 1 wind forward, activate it. The second one is pay 2 wind and dull it. Put Ninja into the break zone. Activate all wind characters you control. I feel there are just better ways to do everything. I feel there are better ways to do everything on this in other cards.
It's not even good in ninjas, which is the only deck that would play this card.
Yes.
Yeah, like we had Opus 3 Oracle, which could activate all characters, I believe, and that saw no play.
Even the 5-cost EX Burst Bards from the first Opus is just, you'd rather play
Better
that.
than that. Yeah, well then again, that's a free 9k. That's for something.
But trying to give a bit of love to ninjas, but not quite making it.
Yeah, nah.
Oh, speaking of bad, we've got our Pain, the card that literally gave me pain during pre-release when I first read it. 4 cost
painful.
forward 8k. When Pain enters the field, if you control 3 or more Category X characters, activate all backups you control. I feel there are better cards.
So why am I playing this over the Opus 1 starter Pain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not.
Exactly. Let's proceed.
Yeah, like this thing gets murdered by Amaterasu next.
Like, the only way this card will be good if they ever did a rotation system and we lost that Pain.
Yeah.
And even then,
I still wouldn't run that Pain.
Yeah, and even then. But
oh boy.
the card that I can't stop opening foils of. 4 cost wind forward, 8k. Forwards of cost 1 you control gain haste. That's actually relevant now. When Bartz forms a party and attacks, you may search for 1 forward of cost 1, play it onto the field, which will also have haste as long as Bart survives the attack. Once again, I love this card. I really like this card. And partying effects. So if you're playing multicolor and can do the Chocobo trick, that could be really good for this deck, especially if you're searching up Soul or the 1-cost Lightning we'll get to.
Here's the next card.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I'm surprised you love this card, considering I 14-0'd you with it yesterday.
Dude, just because I get my ass kicked doesn't mean I'm going to hate a deck. I mean, that's like the worst mentality you can have.
I suppose so. But yeah, I love this card to bits.
I was only salty because you hit my Fina in damage with the first swing that would have turned the game around. That's the only thing that made me a little bit upset of those games. But I don't blame the deck or my deck for it. It's just how it came up.
Yeah. But
So
no,
here's a fun one for you guys. Who wants to build an Onion Knight deck?
I'm getting flashbacks. I'm getting hard flashbacks.
To be fair, it's like I've already had my idea for this, and it appears to be working well.
No, it was a really good one, and you beat me to it, which I'm a little sad about.
Yeah, it's also, yes, as mentioned, a Warrior of Light, which is part of why I'm saying I guess is kind of a sleeper hit, and it's also Cat 5 for a very good reason we'll get to later.
Yeah. Also, Freaky, everything dies to Neo X Death though.
I'll tell you what doesn't die to Neo X Death: Black Tortoise Lassie Gilgamesh.
We're going old school today, boys and girls.
I'm glad we have a bunch of players who are here for practically set 1. That makes this a lot more fun.
Oh yes.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on to Boss's best friend.
Yeah, Bocco!
Best chicken ever.
Baby Chocobo, but not. 1 cost wind forward, 3k Chocobo, so Bartz gives it haste. Cards named Bartz you control get plus 1k power and haste, so they love each other very, very much. When a party you control deals damage to an opponent, draw 1 card. That line is a line I did not expect.
Yep.
That line is not a line I expected to love as much as I have. That
Same
part.
here, especially given the last couple of sets where I was running like the Cecil Rosa deck with Andoria, which is a backup that does the same thing. Oh, it gives you so much value. Like, oh my!
This being able to draw
really
multiple cards out of dealing damage as a party is so relevant.
Yeah. And the important thing is, this makes Bartz a 9k, so it dodges Amaterasu.
Yep.
Exactly. Very relevant. Very relevant.
The first thing I thought when I saw these 2 cards is I was remembering the old, really powerful Chocobo deck that ran the Bartz that has all jobs. And I'm like, are we going to get Chocobo Barts again, but different?
And here we are.
Actually, curious, does the last Bart say he has all jobs? No,
No.
he's just Warrior of Light.
Yeah, it's just a warrior of light.
So he's the first. So Bart's finally picked a job then.
He has been for a while.
Oh, not in this. Oh, I thought almost every Barts we've had in this game has been all jobs.
No, it's just the rare one.
Just the rare one?
Opus 1 Rare and Opus 3 Legend.
The Opus 3 Legend is me.
Yeah, those two have been the ones that have just been like, I'm going to collect all of the jobs.
He wants any job. He wants your job. He'll take all the jobs.
And then X-Death will steal him again.
Uh-huh.
Well, enough of amazing chickens. And
Yes.
Moogles! I really like this card, but I feel it's very situational. I like this card not because it's good, I just think it's a pretty cool idea. 3 cost forward wind, 7k, Moogle, EX burst, damage 3, draw a card when he enters the field.
See, this is another card that has EX burst with a blank text box.
Yeah.
Next.
No, Cap.
Though,
This is the most balanced card in the game.
yes, I think it's fair, because if you hit him on the third damage, it prongs. So essentially, as long as you whiff on it first 2, you're good.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, why am I running this Moogle over the Opus 4 Moogle that is basically a good Viking?
Yeah, I know. There are better options. I just, thought this was a good, fair one. It was actually really good in Limited.
Yeah, it's like it has... again, it is just the most balanced card in the game, which means it's probably never going to see play ever.
Yeah.
Too balanced, not good enough.
Alright, we're starting on our first Earth card. We just finished Wind. Dark Knight. 4 cost Earth forward, 8k. Damage 5. When Dark Knight enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls. If its power is less than Dark Knight's power, break it.
You want I should say it or you, Rob?
Yeah.
You could say, blank text box next. I'm just
Opus
going
1
to tell...
black belt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to tell a little fun story about a pre-release that I played on Tuesday. I had 2 of these in my deck, and my opponent got me to damage 5 very quickly.
Was it effective, or was it pretty useless when you did it?
Oh, I killed a thing, and then I actually got a Regis in my pool as well, so when that died, I played it again, and then I played a third one. So I killed 3 things.
So this is very much a limited card, then.
It's very fun and limited if you can stick yourself at damage 5 and stay there without losing. It's hilarious fun.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it is basically I'm going to use this as insulation for my walls.
Yeah. All right. So no to Edgelord. Next one, Galoof. 3 cost Earth. 3 cost Earth forward, 7k. During each attack phase, Galoof cannot be broken. Damage 3. When Galoof is put from the field into the break zone, you may search for 1 Earth forward of cost 2 or less and play it onto the field. It has a special. I cannot read it because of how tiny it is. Unfaltering Volition?
Volition.
Unfaltering Volition. Just an S, so you don't need to do anything. Activate Galoof. Not dull. Activate Galoof. Until end of turn, Galoof gets plus 10k power, and Galoof can attack 1 more time this turn. You can only use this ability if Galoof has received damage this turn. So you can do this infinitely.
If you have infinite Galoof.
If you have infinite Galoof. Yeah, obviously.
So the thing that's interesting about this card is it is the best blocker for 1 turn, or the best attacker for 1 turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's realistically it. I could see the play space they were going for with this card because it's trying to represent a very specific scene within the game. At the same token, though, it's just I am the best blocker on the planet.
Yeah.
And that's realistically it.
Because the thing is, like, once you leave attack phase, he goes, "Oh, I've taken too much damage. Bye now."
Yeah. Bye, son.
In saying that, though, this may be a decent enough deterrent to stop people from attacking because it just goes, I'm never dying during the attack step. So if somebody's going to try and come in for a lethal shot, you could just go, oh, here's my Galoof.
But that still essentially just puts it into the realm of a fog.
Yeah.
Fog is better than taking damage,
Yeah,
especially
true.
if it's a game
I'll
ender.
pay that.
Yeah.
This is yeah, and this is probably what this card may end up being used for if it's ever used. It's a fog.
Also, a lot of good targets for it now. So for its damage 3 effect at
For the
least.
jet-
So,
Yeah, for the damage 3 effect, it's actually like it turns itself back into a 1-cost 7k, which is basically where the curve is sitting at the moment.
Hmm.
You're never using the special.
Unless it's a win.
yeah.
Unless it's for the win.
If it's for the if you're winning the card, if you're winning the game off of this card, then what's your opponent done?
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah, what's his name? Astidian is still a better version of this
Yeah.
in terms
Exactly.
of special. And that's not a special.
Oozing with flavor, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Alright, we got Machinist, 2-cost Earth backup. When Machinists enter the field, choose up to 2 forwards. Until end of turn, they gain. Dull them, choose 1 forward, deal at 4k damage.
This is a nice way to proc Nagisa off.
Yeah, it gets Margisa. Because you can target Margisa, tap her to deal 4k to herself, and then start doing things.
So this is an interesting when thinking about its cost. It's a 2-cost plus a 2 tap forward to deal 8k.
Split as you choose.
So this is one of those backups where you don't want to like. It's a 2-cost backup that you don't want to play like a 2-cost backup.
Yes, and those
And
are very
That
hard to
puts
play
it in
sometimes.
a very weird spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those backups are the worst to play sometimes.
Yeah, similar thing with White Mage.
Yes. But White Mage sees play, so it comes down to, do you consider losing 2 forwards and 2 backups, or dulling them, not losing them, worth the 8k?
Most times, no.
Yeah,
no.
I was going to say, as far as I can tell, besides someone finding a really cool idea for a deck, I just don't see it. Besides,
ever
maybe, as
there
you
is
said,
a-
synergies like that you want to do
If
small
ever there
damage.
is a way to blink backups, maybe.
Yes.
During your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Block, tap, 4k. Block, tap, 4k. So maybe
But-
potentially down the road if we get something that works with this.
But other than that, it's basically an empty text box.
Gapal, 3-cost Earth forward, 7k. The forwards forming a party you control gain Brave. When a party you control attacks, all forwards in that party get plus 5k power until end of turn.
Hey, look, it's the other part of the Exodia comp.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys could talk about the Exodia combo as much as you like because I don't really know it. But on the same token, I feel like this is an absolute waste of space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opus 4 Night? Was that the 3-cost 7k? I think so.
Something
But-
like that.
Yeah, but like in every scenario other than the Onion Knight OTK combo, this is unplayable.
Yeah. Move on.
Move on.
Move on.
Okay, so I have a very special nickname for this card. I call
Go
it the
on, then.
Vanilla Killer Kujata. It literally is the Vanilla Killer. It's a 4-cost Earth summon. Choose 1 forward, deal it 2k damage for each CP required to cast it. So, to make it simple, a 1k will take 2k damage. A 1-cost will take 2k damage. A 2-cost will take 4k. A 3-cost 6. A 4 8, and so forth. So it literally hits that, vanilla line. It also is only really good against high value, high end, which is really good.
It's saying that why am I running this over? Like, why am I not running Cactuar over this?
Yeah. Like,
And it's even if I was running Cactuar in the first place.
yeah. Like, Cactuar's better than this. Your Jimbo's better than Titan is better than
Yeah.
this. It's a Cat 7 card, doesn't have an EX burst.
Well, that's
Why?
because those things kill more than just vanillas.
Yeah. But that
But
being
the
said,
thing,
like,
the thing is, a summon needs to be a card that can kill better than a vanilla nowadays. Otherwise,
Yes.
it's not worth bothering with.
Especially in this set.
that's the big thing, yes.
Yeah, I just love essentially the flavor of the card. I don't think it's anything. Like, even the first time I read it, I put it away and then put it back after Ryan said it works in Limited. And even then, I only really killed anything of value when my opponents were swarming the fields with, like, low level, high costing stuff, I was just sitting there discarding it.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
view is
the most powerful effect of this card is discard this to gain 2 CP.
yeah.
It's also
killed
good in
half the
limited
set more.
for Neo for Ned. It's only good in
Yeah.
limited for Ned as well.
Kills half the set in limited, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
Okay, Graham, 3 cost Earth backup. You only pay with CP produced by Earth backups to play Graham from your hand onto the field. When Graham enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls, deal at 9k.
Hey, look, it's Bergen.
Yeah.
That's a meme for people that know it. So this card basically just says I am only ever going to be played in mono Earth, and I'm only ever going to be played as a one-off because that's the only time I'm going to be good. You can't search for it. You can't. You have to have the 3 Earth backups in play to even play it in the first place. There's no real reason to waste a backup slot on this unless you're sacking Earth backups.
Yeah,
So you can.
And yeah,
Like,
just
don't get me wrong. 9k damage for 3 is very powerful, especially as you're gaining a resource while you're doing it. But it seems like a complete waste of a backup slot.
Yeah, and to make it clear to any new players watching this card says you cannot discard cards to play it. You have to use the backups, and they have to be Earth. So it's not like you can discard an Earth backup and tap one Earth. Discard an Earth card and tap one Earth backup to play it. You cannot do that. You need 3 backups of Earth, which is why it's very restricted.
So here's the thing about this card, right? This is arguably the worst card in the set for limited, even more so than Snow. At least Snow can attack and block. With this card, you have to A, commit to 3 Earth backups in a multicolor themed set, and 2, be willing to commit to a 4th. And for what? Kill 1 forward?
Yeah.
Which, that's good.
In limited as well, it's also very important to note that I think it's only 1 Earth backup in the entirety of the set that breaks itself.
So
the only way you're actually breaking these backups is if your opponent has a Neo X death.
So at best, this card is literally a discard.
Yep, it is. I discard it for 2 Earth CP, and that's
it. All right. Krill! This one's been a fun one to work with.
Wow, look at the size of that forehead.
Yo, bro.
Don't judge.
Yeah. No, this is some uncanny valley stuff, but let's just talk about the card itself.
2 cost Earth forward, 5k. It is a Warrior of Light. When Krill enters the field, choose one summon from either player's break zone, so both players. You can cast it as though you owned it this turn. If you cast it, remove that summon from the game instead of putting it in the break zone. Then it has a one generic dull ability. Choose one summon from either player's break zone. You may cast it as though you owned it this turn. Again, exile it once you've cast it. This is really fun.
Okay, so I'm going to rectify a mistake I said earlier. Lani does color fix. It was this card I was thinking of that doesn't color fix.
Okay.
But saying that, it is still really good because, it blocks Suki Noah.
Yeah,
and that's why I hate
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively on curve. Like, even if they Amaterasu it, it's a 2 cost. You didn't lose much. But this thing I feel is a mirror breaker.
Also, if they don't Amaterasu it, you could take their Amaterasu.
Yeah, that's the big thing. But and there's enough backups in Earth that can tap for multiple colors, like Tyro, Shantoto. If you really wanted to, Kimeri from Opus 1, but it's mainly just Tyro and Shantoto.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what makes this card really, really solid. Because nice Veil for mine now, you don't get Veil for anymore.
Yeah.
I've heard people that play Magic in the past, I've heard them liken this card to Snapcaster Mage. And it very much is similar to Snapcaster Mage, and being a 2 cost, there's more than enough ways to flash it in.
I'd say it's actually slightly better because if I remember correct, Snapcaster is your own bin, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. Whereas Kral can hit opponents' bins. Yeah, you have to find a way to flash it in, which there are ways to do it. Certainly are, but
there's more than enough for. There's even one in this set, which we'll get to in a moment.
Set 1 Tama, I guess, but I don't know if you.
Set 1 Tama. with it. There's Galoof if your opponent's gonna
Kill your
if your
thing.
opponent's gonna kill the Galoof, then you can do stuff with it. But
As far as this Kral goes, but the effects read very well. It's a powerful card. Assuming more people run summons.
yeah,
Most Earth decks I see run, at cheapest Kusith, at best Titan or Yojimbo, and that's still some good value off just a 2-cost 5k.
That's true. That's good value out of your own break zone. But on the same token, there's unless it's a dedicated summon deck, most decks are running a maximum of 3, maybe 4 summons. Every single powerful effect nowadays is coming off of abilities. And again, this is a very powerful effect on an ability. It's focused on summons, and there's not enough summons going around at the moment to make this worthwhile.
Yeah.
I still feel even with that, it's a good maybe 1 or 2 off slot just in case as well. I still feel you treat it as tech.
Maybe.
Yes and no. Like if you go to use this Kral, the best way to use it is to play a Mist Dragon again.
Yeah. I still think
Or something like that.
I still think Kusith will be the main target of this. Like even
Likely.
Playing it, Kusithing a card that you can use a special on field of is really cool idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a concern of like how many summons. How many summons make this card good?
Yeah, your measuring stick for it will always be how much am I running.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, well, enough of Direfleet Daredevil. We got Glaive, 4-cost Earth forward, 8k. It has Brave. Other FFL forwards other than Glaive you control gain +1k power and Brave. Damage 3, Glaive gets +1 power. Is FFL seeing anything? There's my answer. Thank you. Next.
Old Glaive was bad. This is worse.
Yeah.
At least Old Glaive let you search for a card.
Yeah. That's about it.
We got White Mage, 4-cost Earth backup. I actually really love this card. It has a dull ability. Put White Mage into the break zone. Choose one Earth forward of cost 4 or less. Put it into the break zone. Play it onto the field. So you break this, dull it and break it to play a 4-cost or less Earth forward. The really good thing that I love, it doesn't say during your turn.
Yep, that's the part that makes it powerful. Yes, they had to restrict it to Earth forwards, but being able to fight something in during your opponent's turn is a big deal.
Yeah, and
it doesn't even come in dull either. It comes in active. It's like you can create a sudden blocker, which Earth has got a lot of high power, low cost forwards, so it can create a lot of sudden blockers.
Like even for a joke deck, the Yang Ursula Monk trick at instant speed is silly.
Extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous.
All I can say is thank God Dadaluma's banned.
Oh, yeah.
That too, yeah.
Oh, instant speed at block, kill a bunch of stuff? Damn.
Instant speed, Cactuar, your board's dead, and then I go to my turn.
So here's the interesting thing. I was sitting there for a little while thinking, with all of the powerful cards that are coming in this set, maybe we could unban Dataluma. And then they revealed White Mage and was like,
no,
can't unban Dataluma anymore.
I am returning back to the wrong zone.
Yeah, no.
I will, yeah.
Yeah, this card I feel is really good. Even for, at 4 cost, I think it's still fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's a FF...
Incredible card.
It's FF14 or... No, it's FF14.
Yeah, it's 14.
Yeah, I can't see if that's an I between the X and the V.
It's right. 14.
Yeah. Next card. Object d'Art. This is the Earth cycle of monsters we've been talking about. 2-cost Earth. It either enters as a 6k or put it into the break zone. If you do so until end of turn, or when you do so, until end of turn, all forwards gain plus 2k power and Brave. I don't actually mind this one, but I don't know if it has a spot.
Object. I just wanted to do that, sorry. Please
Right.
continue.
No, I'll just say, like, pay 2 to give everything plus 2k and Brave. Outwardly seems amazing. I just don't know if it's usable.
Again, another thing that kind of potentially puts this card over the line is that it's a 2-cost monster. So
Yeah.
you can get it with Realm and have 3 forwards in play or something like that. Having the ability to just for 2 CP to give your entire field 2k and Brave. I don't know if there's a home for that yet, but
Yes,
that is
that's
a solid effect.
yeah.
Yeah. If an aggressive Earth deck pops up, this is great because it
And
completely screws over combat maps.
and it's
for
one
your
of the
opponent.
times that these
Yeah.
monsters being sorcery speed is not the worst thing in the world.
It's
Yeah.
the only time it's good out of this
Yeah.
entire
Cycle.
out of the entire
Yeah.
run, the entire
This
cycle. It's
is-
the only one that's good.
Yeah, this is by far the only one that's good. Whether or not that means anything remains to be seen.
It means nothing at all. It's just
Yeah.
this is the only one that actually may see
this
some
one feels
reasonable
like
effect,
a
but
vanilla card. This one feels vanilla,
Yeah.
not just negatives.
it is purely vanilla.
Yeah. But if someone finds a home for this this poor night boy, let us know. Hey, it's Nacht! 5-cost Earth Warrior of Darkness forward, 9k. When a job Warrior of Darkness you control is chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities, choose one job Warrior of Darkness other than card Noct in your break zone, add it to your hand. When Noct is put from the field into the break zone, you may play one job Warrior of Darkness from your field from your hand onto the field. I want this to make Warrior of Darkness a thing.
Wow.
I want this to make Warrior of Darkness a thing. I have a dare going with someone that if he builds Warrior of Light, I'll build Warrior of Darkness, and let's see if they match up.
They won't. They never will.
Most definitely not. Warrior of Lights have had, 5 extra sets over Warrior of Darknesses?
And who knows how many games over Warriors of Darkness.
Yeah, but I would like to see Warrior of Darkness a thing.
If it becomes a thing, this is the linchpin for the deck.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
it's so hard for this to be a thing that I don't think it's worth bothering trying.
Here's my view. I played Warriors of Darkness back in Opus 8 when it first came out. I had a lot of fun with it. The only thing I found to be weak was Noct. This is a better Noct, so you can get away with that. Now, the ability to just go, cool, you want to kill my Noct, cool, get back Alba, it dies, play Alba, dull your stuff.
Haste.
I mean, haste doesn't really matter because it's during your opponent's turn. But
Yeah, but even if it's not.
yeah, and if they kill it during your turn, you just, cool.
Yeah.
Here's Alba.
And
it does make it a potent attacker if you are sitting on an Alba in your hand.
It also because of the top ability, it even says if you kill something and I have a copy of that Warrior of Darkness in my bin, you've just bounced something to my hand with a kill spell.
More or less.
The thing that I find probably most awkward about the element combination for Warriors of Darkness is it's an element combination that already has 2 other far more powerful archetypes attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I still would like to see... I would just like, general public to keep Warrior of Darkness, in that sort of knowledge sphere and to look at it every set just to see if it can get something.
Don't get me wrong, Warriors of Darkness are absolutely tier fun, and I expect it to be played a few times in other local events and stuff like that. It's just
it doesn't compete.
If I'm playing Earth Lightning, I'm not playing Warriors of Darkness.
Yeah.
I may break that rule because I want to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Viagali. I hope I pronounced that wrong. He is apparently a guild master. Another FFCC card. 4-cost Earth backup. When Valia enters the field, you may search for one multi-element card and add it to your hand. I don't think we have enough multicolored cards yet to make this work, but I think if they do keep making more of them, this will start seeing more and more attention.
All right.
The flaw of this card is it's a 4-cost searcher that doesn't have the X-Burst written on it.
Yes.
However, as we know that there's going to be more multi-element cards coming throughout the course of the game, and could even become like there could even be multi-element summons coming in the future. The ceiling for this card, as more sets get released, skyrockets.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the big thing, because at present, this card is strictly worse than Colker.
Yeah. So this one is definitely one you probably want to keep your eye on and see what the sets bring up in the future. But as of now, it's okay if you just go, eh.
Yeah, run Colker instead, because Colker's FFCC as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright, we have... This one confused me so much. An Oracle of Light. 2-cost backup. Earth. Choose one category 14 forward you control. It gets plus 1k power until end of turn. Comes down to FF14 being a deck, whether it's a thing or not.
This is basically the 2-cost. I'm going to pump a forward by 1k card for category 14.
Yeah,
We've seen them so many times before. I don't feel like this is anything new, special, or interesting.
I think the only one of those that was playable was Edgar, and that was only because it was a Cat 6 back. This...
Exactly.
If it was a Scion, then maybe.
If this was a Scion of the Seventh Dawn, then this would instantly replace the other Scion that doesn't have any text box.
Yeah.
But because it's not, and that deck is already fairly filled with space on the back line,
You can't really get away with it, that's the thing.
like I would happily fall asleep on this card and not
Forget
even
that it
realize it's
exists
there.
until...
Which could make it a sleeper card in its own right, but it's not worth mentioning, especially considering this is a rare and every single other version of the card in every single other category that has been printed in is common.
Yep.
Next.
Move on.
Are we skipping Fenrir?
We're not skipping Fenrir.
Okay, sorry.
I think you cut out for a second.
Oh, I think I did. 5-cost Earth Summon. Select up to the 2 following actions. Choose... So you get 2 of these. The first one is choose one light forward or dark forward, break it. Second ability is choose one backup of cost 4 or more, break it. Third ability is choose one monster, break it. Fourth ability is choose one Earth forward of cost 2 in your break zone, play it onto the field. Me cutting out would explain, because I was saying the exact same thing you guys were saying about the last card.
Yeah.
But I like this. I like Fenrir. And
Fenrir is one of those cards that makes Kral good.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
As far as the other effects go, everything, like, it's all got a place in some random occasion. Like, there's only 4-cost or greater backups that play like 2-cost backups. That this, like, just eating up a backup at random could be a thing.
I think the break a light or dark forward is the key thing here.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you're playing Fenrir specifically to break light or dark forwards,
We've got the other Fenrir.
You've got the other Fenrir to do that, which you could also, like, for that one, you can also pay the 2 extra to exile it instead. In saying that, if I was worried about light or dark forwards, I would run this Fenrir over the 2-drop Fenrir, because I could just randomly snipe something else or randomly get a forward back.
Yeah, it is select 2 of a 4, and that's where I give it the higher credit. If it was 1 of 4, I wouldn't be looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the card's alright, just because, like, 95% of the time it's going to be break a backup, play a forward.
Yeah.
Likely, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Oh, we're up to Borgin. Another 1-cost. A 1-cost Earth card, 9k. When Borgin is put from the field into the break zone, your opponent selects 1 forward in their break zone. Your opponent adds it to their hand. So, I love
They're thinking, who was the person that thought of this card?
And they didn't even make it fair. It's not like they get to put it onto the field. It goes to their hand.
It's just, who thought of this? Like, it's not to say it's an amazing card or anything like that, but they put it in the same element as Mistdragon.
Yep.
It's just like, why? Why?
Hey, look, Fenrir just brought back a 9k and killed your Dark card.
Yeah.
Oh, and and you killed the Borgin, so you're gonna try and get that light forward back? Nope, here's a Misty.
Yep.
Yeah, so what you're saying is you shave 4 off the cost of a 9k, and for what? Your opponent may or may not get back 2 CP, but it's okay because you had Mist Dragon.
Yeah.
Even that, you play 1 CP 9k, and your opponent gets to play 2 CP, gets 2 CP back up after they somehow kill it.
Mm.
It's kind of just like, what?
I do like the idea of an opponent seeing a Borgin die, look at your hand, and pick something terrible so you don't use the Mist Dragon.
But
yeah,
but then it's like it's not even that's the problem. It's the fact that it's a 1-drop 9k with almost no downside. Like, oh sure, your opponent's putting a forward back into their hand. Okay. You're also playing in an element that has a lot of removal in it anyway, so you don't really care.
Yeah.
Yep. And on top of that, most removal that's killing this, it's going to trade up with it anyway, because it's a 1 cost.
Wait.
Yeah,
the absolute worst situation for you, if you're playing Borgin, is your opponent gets a 2 CP discount on whatever removal piece they use to get rid of this thing.
I like that none of us can stop laughing while reviewing this card. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. It's like, I'm just trying to... This is another card similar to Carbuncle, where you're just like, who thought of this?
Yeah, and he gets... by the way, it has haste with Barts, and you can summon it at mid-combat.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Barts can pull this out of mid-air with haste, and I love that.
Yep. The Borgin Bomb will be a thing.
We might have the card, the favorite card of the set already, guys.
Hopefully.
Okay, we're moving on to Monk.
Why?
Why not?
Oh, Monk. This Monk isn't that bad. I'd play it in the Monk's deck.
Yeah, 3 cost...
It's a 1 cost backup in the Monk's deck.
Yeah, I actually like this. 3 cost Earth backup. When Monk enters the field, choose 1 Monk or name card Monk in your break zone, add it to your hand. So essentially it's a 1 cost, which is amazing. It has an ability. 1 Earth dull it, put Monk into the break zone. Choose 1 job Monk forward or card name Monk forward you control. And 1 forward opponent controls. Each forward deals damage equal to its power to the other. You can only use this ability during your turn. So it's a 1 cost that becomes, a 2 cost fight. And
it's basically playing Hecaton Kaya without playing Hecaton Kaya.
Yeah, and Ursula, the one that, whenever you can dull another monk to pump it, means, you can have her fight something. If they pump it and you have enough monks, you can just go over the head.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy for that Ursula to go above whatever forward it's trying to fight with as well, because that pump, even though you're sacking a monk to do it, it's 4k power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, 4k was quite a significant. I don't know about now, but it's the same reason why Rain was so good.
Having that jump from 5 to 9 and then to 13.
Yeah,
it's big.
It's the same reason Rain was so good. 4k damage per attack is quite significant. Yeah. We'll move on. Shadow Lord.
Oh,
another one where we're just like why did they put this?
Who, what, where, when, why?
2 cost Earth forward, 9k. So, less value than Borgin, but let's see what he does. When Shadow Lord enters the field, your opponent may play 1 backup of cost 2 or less from their hand onto the field. So if you've looked at their hand or they don't have it, or they've emptied their hand, this is essentially free.
Or they've got a full backup line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ability, pay 1 Earth. Until end of turn, Shadow Lord gets Brave, and EX bursts of cards your opponent cards put into damage zone due to Shadow Lord cannot be used, which is actually quite significant.
Did they make this a 2-drop?
Yeah, but I still think that ability for 1 turn off EX bursts is really good because you can stop a blowout.
That's not the talking point of this card, though.
Oh no, it's not.
The talking point is the fact that it's a 2-drop. It's just like, let's make Golbez even better.
Yeah, Because your opponent can't even play the backup if you play this off the Golbez.
Yes.
And it can be revived with Fenrir,
Yeah.
it can be tagged into with Galuf, and your opponent's probably already played their 2-drop backups turn 1, which means this thing's just gonna come in for free.
Yeah,
Look
making
at that as well. How many powerful decks nowadays are running 2-drop backups other than Rampair? And they're only running 3 Rampair.
Yeah, that's the thing.
This is a card you don't mind going second and playing.
Yeah.
It's just one of those cards where you're just kind of like, why did they print this?
Yeah. Like,
Although, as another piece of very entertaining interaction, the Opus 4 Shadow Lord kills the Opus 12 Shadow Lord clean.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Oh, we're going to it. I think Earth. I think just the designers for Earth, they gave them the one meme guy. I think. Because now we have Lael. 4 cost Earth forward 8k. When Lael or a forward enters the field, enters your field, place 1 bearer counter on Lael. Remove 3 bearer counters from Lael. Choose 1 forward. Remove it from the game. You can only use this ability while Lael is attacking.
The effects are very sweet.
Yeah.
Very sweet. I don't see how this will be fitting into many decks outside of Limited, but if you are playing in Limited, this thing is an all-star.
Yeah. Absolute bomb, this is.
Yeah, and people will have to commit to killing this before it attacks, especially because it enters with 1 already.
Yeah, people are petrified of this card when they're playing in Limited, and it's perfectly fair to see why.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see the decks that utilize this, because we already have a couple of really good decks that are really into the multiple forward, cheating forwards in. And once it's on the field, your second turn, if it doesn't have haste, you just need to cheat 1 or 2 things in, and you attack and you're done. So I'd love to see what synergy this brings out in a couple of, both established and new decks.
Yeah. The thing is finding that sweet spot of how to play it.
And I will say, losing the backup Lael slot is actually a really decent downside, because that was a really good card. Like, countering a summon as a backup tap was really good. So having to make that decision for this card is, I think, going to bring out a lot of sort of ideas and tech decking. And deck teching. Sorry.
But, no matter what Lael you run, it's going to be searchable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
FFCC.
Absolutely. Oh, why don't we take a break at that?
That's what I was going to say. We're up to
I believe
our
we're
first
just about
lightning
to
card.
step up to lightning, so why don't we have a bit of a break?
Yeah.
Break time.
Hey everyone, that's the end of our Part 1 Opus 12 review. Part 2 should be up soon. If you like what you saw, please give us a like and a sub, and if you want to catch me live, go to my Twitch channel and give me a follow. See you all at Part 2. Bye.